All right, here we go. DJ Yella of the legendary NWA. Welcome back to VladTV.
Thank you very much. Glad to be back.
Yeah, I mean, last time we talked, it was right before the movie had dropped.
Okay, that's when I knew I would have my timing. Yeah,
it was leading up to the movie.
Yeah,
but now you actually have a new book out.
Yeah,
Straight Outta Compton, my Untold Story.
Yeah,
and we'll have a link in all these videos. Okay. So for anyone who wants to buy it off Amazon, either get the Kindle edition or the actual paperback, you could link and actually purchase it. I read the book from cover to cover.
Really?
Yeah, loved it. Loved it. Well, I'm also an NWA super fan.
Yeah.
So I had to read it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're actually the first one out of the group to actually write a tell-all.
Yeah. I think Cube wrote something, but it was somebody else that wrote it. Okay. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't his autobiography. I don't think so. I actually wrote this one.
Yeah. Well, what made you write the book, first of all?
Well, it wasn't really me because I never read a book. I never opened a book in my life. No,
in your life.
Magazines, yeah, but never a book. And it just, something told me, and I knew it was God, write this book. And it took 1.5 years during the whole pandemic, and I wrote it.
Well, it's a must read. For any NWA fans out there, you have to read it because it really fills in a lot of the blanks, from someone who's actually there.
Yeah.
So I loved it. I loved it. So I kind of want to go through your story again and focus on some of the stuff in the book that really wasn't covered when we had our last interview. So, born and raised in Compton.
Yep. 8
siblings.
9 with me.
9, including you.
Yeah.
All from the same parents.
Rare.
Man, your parents did their thing, huh?
Yeah.
What was that like having so many kids?
I guess it was good on one hand. But when I was the last boy and one girl under me, I didn't even get the hand-me-down. So I was kind of in the catch-22. I didn't get nothing new. I never had a new bicycle, new skateboard, none of that stuff.
Right.
We grew up, po. Not poor, P-O. But, it was fun though. It was pretty cool. But all of us are 2 years apart. Mm-hmm. So we didn't really hang out with each other. I didn't hang out with my brother. They hung out with their friends. So I was kind of like a loner.
Well, your dad and mom divorced when you were 4.
Yeah.
So then you were primarily with your mom?
Yeah. All the kids.
All the kids. Yeah. So here you have 9 kids, 9 kids with a single mom.
Yep.
Was dad helping out financially? Was he in the picture or was he not really?
Sometimes I would say, even though he lived right across in Inglewood, but my everybody above me had mama and daddy growing up. They took all the pictures and all that. When it got to me and my sister, there was no more pictures. So I don't know if my dad was really, I hear my mother complain a lot. So I guess he wasn't, not too much, not really.
Did you maintain a relationship with him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So he was still around. He was still in your life and everything else like that.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't come to none of my baseball games or nothing like that, But he was still my dad. So I wasn't mad at him until high school. So.
Well, there was a situation when your older brother, Keith, got accidentally killed.
Yeah.
What happened with that exactly?
It was, I remember... It was like 1:30 or something. And I went in my mother's room and I laid on the end of her bed. I never sleep on the end of her bed. And I heard a single gunshot in the middle of the night. What it is, the house behind us and one over, he was over there with his best friend. And his best friend was sitting in front of the mirror with an old revolver. Click, click, 5 clicks. Right before the 6th one, my brother happened to go across the mirror to pick something up right in the neck. And it's crazy because the guy, his best friend, been white hair ever since. I mean, pure white hair.
Huh.
So I guess that stressed him out, all his, the last time I seen him, all his life.
How old was your brother at the time?
It was just 21.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just 21.
Okay. Was the friend charged at all or?
Oh, no. It was an accident because my brother was still alive when the police and stuff came for like 15 minutes or something.
Oh.
I guess they must have asked him or something. Yeah, it was purely an accident. You sitting in there just looking at yourself and he just, the right time.
Yeah, I mean, one more reason not to have guns in the house if you have kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sad.
Yeah.
How did that affect you?
Well, I was kind of young. I remember it was 74 and it was, you know something? After the funeral, after seeing the body, it made me scared of the dark. Huh. I was afraid of the dark forever, seemed like it.
Yeah. I'm sorry for your loss, man. That must have been very traumatic for
it was,
for a young kid. Yeah.
I didn't take it as hard because I was so young, but it was just weird, kind of weird.
Well, in the book, you talked about an incident that happened at a public pool where you said your soul was taken.
Soul was taken for 25 cents. I remember that like it was yesterday. It just, that's why I didn't mention what it was in the book, but it was just something that was just like, it changed my whole life. I mean, it made me to the, I better not say that because the Me Too would get me. It made me into I love women after that. After that point, I just love women. All kinds. It was just, I don't know if it was really traumatic, but it was like, because I couldn't go to my father. I didn't talk to my brother. It was just like, this can't be right. I'm just, I'm a young 7th grader or 6th grade. I'm just like, wow, that's kind of crazy. But, it just, I got past it, got over it. Now it's behind, it's gone.
I mean, was it molestation?
I would say something like that.
Yeah.
It was kind of, just like, oh, wait a minute, what? It's just weird.
Yeah, I mean, it happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people will, go through that.
And that's why it took me a while before I put it in the book. I said, no, somebody may need to hear it slightly. It might help them or something.
Right, because throughout the book, there was so much devoted to girls.
Yeah.
This girl, that girl, these two girls at the same time who live by each other. This, like literally, I would say maybe 2/3 of the book was about women.
Yeah.
And do you think that from that situation, there was sort of a compensation that you had to do to?
I don't know what it was. It was like the devil got in me at that age. And it just, women was it. I didn't do drugs. I didn't do alcohol. Women, buying cars. That was my life right there.
Okay. So you get past that and, you're going to school and you're working at a restaurant, I guess? A diner?
No, like a dairy, a drive-up dairy.
Drive-up dairy.
Yeah, a drive-up dairy.
Okay.
You come out, may I help you? You want some milk? Yeah.
And armed robbery happens.
Oh, you talking about at the taco place I was working.
Taco place. There we go.
That was in 11th grade. Yeah, the robbery. And it was funny. I'm making tacos. I turn around, a sawed-off shotgun is on the counter. And I'm just like, okay, what do you want? Give me the money. Okay. It wasn't very much in it because they always drop the money and all that. And I'm just thinking, a split second, all it took is just a shake of the gun and boom, gone, done.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, I wasn't scared, but I was just like shocked. I'm like, whoa, is this a robbery? A 211 in progress?
Yeah, no, I've had a pistol put in my face once and it's surrealistic. You don't really know. You're so unready for it. And when it happens, you don't really know what to do. Like you don't want to be a punk, but you also don't want to get your head blown off. And
you're
it's
sort of like, okay, let me just go with whatever.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. Yeah. I'm going along with it.
Yeah.
No, it's scary. And I remember you said that the guy said, nobody moves, nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Which ironically later on.
Yeah, it's one of the songs.
A chorus to an Eazy-E song.
Yeah.
Was that sort of your idea? Or?
I think it was more my idea for the book. Because it sounded right. It's like, it sounded like that's what he said. Nobody moved. Yeah, that's it. Nobody moved, nobody get hurt.
Luckily, he didn't get hurt. Luckily, he didn't get hurt. Okay. So originally with the music thing, you started out as a drummer.
Yeah.
Right. We got a drum set behind us.
Yeah.
We're going to have you hop on at the end.
Oh, yeah.
I got some sticks behind me. Okay. And you weren't really thinking about making music or whatever. You just like playing the drums.
Yeah. My brother used to have a band in the garage, in the infamous garage, I call it.
Mm-hmm. Famous garage.
I used to hear him and I'd be in the room with little toys and little broken stick playing the little boxes and stuff. And I could just play. They be in there playing Santana or whatever they play, and I could just play. And one day I just went in there and just got on the drums and played.
Just natural.
Yeah. Okay. My two brothers can play drums too. So it was just natural.
Okay. And that eventually got into DJing.
Yeah. Yeah. The DJing was kind of like an accident. I remember my brother Joseph had a reception for his wedding. He wanted me to DJ. I had 8-track tape. One. So I had the night before, I would cue the songs, the best song of the album. And the next day, when it's time, I play it. That was really my first time DJing. I didn't know it was DJing. I was just playing some music.
I mean, after you did it the first time and after you actually started to do it, and, like as a DJ, I know the feeling of like, rocking a crowd is like something that you can't really explain. It's almost like a spiritual experience. When you really started DJing, did it just hit you like, okay, this is what I want to do?
At the time, that's what I wanted to do. I didn't think of it as a future, but at the time, it was just DJing in the club. It used to be called Eve After Dark, and it was natural. It's just crazy because I had the prime spot, and I got that after 1 week after the original guy that was there just left, and I was pushed into that spot, and I'm like, okay, I can rock this. And I've been rocking them ever since.
Yep. And your original DJ name wasn't Yella.
Yeah.
It was the Master Rocker.
The Master Rocker. And my buddy Unknown is the one that gave me DJ Yella. Because it was on the back of the Tom Tom Club of Genius of Love. It was Mr. Yellow. And at the beginning of the song, you put it on and say, Yella. He said, that's your name. Mm-hmm. That has been it ever since.
Right. He's actually right here next to us right now. Right, the Master Rocker. I don't think that would have stuck. NWA featuring Dre, Ice Cube, Eazy-E,
and the Master Rocker,
MC Ren, and the Master Rocker. Just doesn't go along.
Yeah,
just doesn't work. Okay, so then eventually you joined the World Class Wreckin Cru.
Yeah. Well, it was when I was DJing. That was the Wreckin Cru.
Okay,
but it was just 3 years pre-Dre.
Yeah.
So the Wreckin Cru was the DJs of the club.
And I guess to even join the Wreckin Cru, you had to go around LA and tear down the posters for the competitors.
They kind of tricked me on that. They said, go around and do a snatch or rip on all the posters. Just take out the date and the place.
Right.
I was like, all right. I went around and ripped everybody. Well, that night when I met them at the club, they said, how many you get or something? I come down to the car. I opened my trunk full of posters. They wasn't expecting that. I ripped everybody's poster. I don't care who it was.
Right. Was this like Uncle Jam's Army who you were ripping? Or
they probably got them too. I'm quite sure. I found out later they were natural enemies.
Okay.
They was my enemies, that's for sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you guys ever get into it or?
Yeah, one day I was hanging posters, me and my buddy, and I was hanging over their posters. And two guys came up, look at me like, what are you doing? I'm hanging our posters. And, I didn't know who he was, but he was the leader of Uncle Jam's Army. But he didn't know I had my buddy that was 6'7" with a 2-pound staple gun, and I had one in my hand. So, okay, what you want to do? Right there on Century and Western. He didn't do nothing. We kept on hanging right over his posters.
Yeah, well, shout out to Uncle Jam's Army. Definitely an important part of LA history as well.
Oh, yeah.
But, at the end of the day, you do what you got to do.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's hustling. Okay, so then Dre joined the World Class Wreckin Cru.
Uh-huh.
And once Dre joined, is that when you guys started putting records together?
No, when he joined, we were still DJing.
Okay.
So, and it's so funny, when I met him, it was like a battle. Somebody wanted to bet money that he could beat me DJing. Mm-hmm. Even though it never happened, but that's how we met. And then we just start clicking together. We DJ'd, I don't know, a year plus or more before even thinking about music.
Okay. So at what point did you guys all decide, okay, we're going to go from DJing clubs to actually creating our own songs?
I remember one day I told Lonzo I wanted to make a single. I don't know why. After hearing Run DMC, Suck 'em MCs and stuff. So me and Clientele, one of the members, made a song. And at the same time, a little bit later, Dre made the Surgery song. So we kind of did them almost at the same time. And that was the start of music. That just opened the door. Even though we started out doing bootleg records, mixes. That's what really kind of did the music, but we wasn't making it. We were just doing mixes and selling bootlegs. But once we did that and did them singles, that was the start of the music right there.
Okay, and was Dre rapping around that time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He rapped on Surgery.
Okay. But Dre's always been kind of like a reluctant rapper, I feel. Like he rapped, but that wasn't really his thing. I feel like he rapped because it just made sense to rap on certain songs. Or do you feel like he had a real passion for rapping as well as producing?
Producing. But in the Wreckin' Cru, he rapped on every song.
Okay.
So it was, yeah, that was the thing. He rapped. Him and the Clientele, and then later Shakespeare. But yeah, he rapped all the time in the Wreckin'.
Right, because at one point Clientele left.
Yeah.
And then Shakespeare was part of a group called CIA.
Yeah.
Which was Ice Cube.
Yeah.
His cousin. Well,
Sir
Jinx, which was Dre's cousin.
Yeah.
Right. And Shakespeare.
Yeah.
But Shakespeare was kind of older.
Yeah.
So it made sense for him to join the Wreckin' Cru.
Because he was like way older than them. So, because he was older than me, so he was older than everybody. So, yeah, he just came into the Wreckin' Cru. He just filled the shoes of Clientele. The Clientele didn't come back, so.
Yeah. Okay, so here you are, World Class Wreckin' Cru is now putting records together. But the songs weren't really big songs at this point yet. And I remember part of the book, there was a show in Texas that you guys did, and that's when Dre met the DOC.
Yeah.
Who was part of the Feel Fresh crew.
Yeah.
And, he started working with you guys a bit.
Yeah.
And then you guys get a deal with Epic?
Yeah, well, that was after a couple of singles, after our first album. And then we got a deal with Epic.
Right.
For one album.
Yep.
And then, yeah, we got paid that time.
Okay. And now Turn Off the Lights. That was the second album?
That was the last single before we left. We actually, when we made Turn Off the Lights, when the song came out, we was already gone.
Okay.
Yeah, we was already gone.
And Michelle A was brought in to do the chorus.
Yeah, because she was brought in because the original girl, a girl named Mona Lisa that sung on our first two songs, we was looking for her, but we couldn't find her. And then somebody knew Michelle or something, and she fit the part.
When you first heard Michelle A talk, because because I've interviewed her, you're not really prepared for the voice. Because you hear her on the songs, and she doesn't even sound similar.
No, it's such a big difference. It's like, who's this baby in here? Because if you're not looking at her, you'd be like, what? And turn around. But if you hear her sing, it's like, this can't be the same person. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I used to think the voice was phony or like, is she doing that? But I guess it's natural.
It is. Okay, so she jumps on Turn Off the Lights.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest song World Class Wreckin' Cru ever had.
Oh, yeah.
Period. But you said you never really made any money, with the Wreckin' Cru off of record sales.
I mean, only money I know we made was off the Epic deal. Because that was a contract and all that. But record sales, and that one, we left on that song. And that became the biggest radio song for the Wreckin' Cru and got all, it got airplay everywhere. It was a hot song.
It was. And okay, so you guys end up leaving the Wreckin' Cru, and I guess the Wreckin' Cru just replaced you guys with other members and just kept on touring and, and had a bit of a run, but it was coming to a close.
Yeah.
So at one point you meet Eazy-E. And I guess he was buying clothes off you?
Yeah, a girl used to give me, I don't know, to this day, she worked in a big department store and she used to give me deals on clothes, free. So that's the best deal you can get. And I was guests head to toe, jackets, everything, shirts. I had so much, I started selling clothes, and he liked to wear Guess. So him and his girl at the time, that's how I met him, selling clothes.
So he came to your house?
No, Dre brung him. But when I met him, and then I just happened to, I was hustling. They're like, hey, you want some clothes? Boom. And he bought many clothes for me.
Okay. And that's how you guys first established your relationship.
Oh, yeah. That was the first time we met.
Did you know about him at all or not really?
No, I didn't know anything about him. Never heard of him, nothing. Because he was from Dre's old neighborhood, so I didn't know him.
Okay. And At what point did you guys decide, hey, now that we've left the Wrecking Crew, we're going to form this new group?
I remember Dre mentioning it, but then at that point, I had got a job for 3 months. So that's when they actually made Boys in the Hood. I wasn't in the studio then. I was working when they made that, the Boys in the Hood. Yeah, so, but I remember Dre had asked, say, hey, we're going to form a group. We pulled in Arabian Prince, like an all-star group back then for us, local all-stars at least. And that's how it started. That's what it was. It just, I don't know who came up with the name, but that's how it started.
Well, I think you mentioned Yomo from Yomo Maki.
Yeah, Yomo. I remember. Yeah, a group I ended up doing later, but I think he originally came up with the name. He told me one day. I'm like, I didn't know you did that. He came up with the name.
Right, and quite a shocking name to most of America.
Yeah.
Once you knew what it meant.
Yeah, because when people ask, be like, you don't want to really know the name. You don't want to know what it meant.
Okay. So NWA starts to form. So they work on Boys in the Hood. You're not there.
Yeah.
Originally the song was for a group called HBO.
Yeah.
An East Coast group that didn't want it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So then Dre convinces Eazy to jump in the booth.
Yeah, and I don't know how he convinced him because he's not a rapper. He never wanted to. He was just about money, I don't know how he did it, but it was it's just the sound he had. That sound. Then you got the look. Because everybody thought he was like 15 or something. Mm-hmm. And it was the look. And that's what started it all right there.
Yeah, he had the look, he had the voice.
Yeah.
And I remember there was an interview that Ice Cube did where he called Dre Dr. Frankenstein for turning Eazy-E into a rapper.
Yeah.
Because Eazy-E didn't even want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he couldn't battle nobody. No.
Right.
You better take pause and he'll battle you that way. But he just wasn't a rapper. That's all.
Well, he was really offbeat initially.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's offbeat, but he just couldn't get the rhythm and he just had to learn it on the fly.
Right. When that song first came together, when you first heard Boys in the Hood, what did you think? Did you think it was a hit? Or did you think it was like, it's different? Who knows?
When I first heard it, I was like cussing on the, well, okay, they cussing. I remember old Blowfly used to cuss, but that was just dirty records and stuff like that. But cussing. But then it was different from the Wrecking Crew sound. So it was like, okay, that might work right there. I know I'm like, it ain't gonna get on the radio, but that might work.
Well, it was completely different. It was sparse. It was a drum beat with like a guitar riff.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. A little bit of,
little piano.
A little bit of, a little bit of piano, whereas Turn Off the Lights was a produced, R&B, layered type of song. Okay. So that song comes together. And was NWA a group by that time or?
We really got together. It was right towards my little 3-month end of working. Only worked for 3 months, a valet. And I'm like, I never did this before. But by the time that ended, then it was a group.
Okay. And, Eazy-E basically made all his money off selling drugs during that time. I guess there was a situation where his brother got killed.
It's his cousin.
His cousin.
His cousin got killed and I guess left him money or whatever he left him. So he just started from there, in the streets or whatever he was doing. But he was, he was a businessman.
Yeah.
He was about the business.
I mean, I remember speaking to various people that were kind of around the situation. And some people said he was a Kelly Park Crip. Other people said not so much. I mean,
he was from his neighborhood, but he wasn't a gang member. He was just a hustler.
Yeah.
That's what it's a difference, a hustler and a gang member. None of us was gang members.
Right. So the group formed. And I remember in the book, there was an interesting part where I guess you guys were all talking and someone brought up, if you would sell your soul.
So everything you bringing up, he was there with me. and it's amazing. I remember that because it was like right at the tail end of the Wrecking Crew, right before NWA really got started. And I remember that question. I don't know who asked it, but I remember it heard, and I remember somebody answered it. And I was just like, okay, all right. I don't know about you or whoever. I don't know nothing about this, so I wouldn't tell my soul. I don't know nothing about it, but that don't sound right.
Were other people in the group saying that they would sell their soul?
Somebody said it.
Someone said they would sell their soul.
Somebody said
to the devil for fame and fortune.
Somebody said it.
Whatever that means in their own mind.
Yeah, but I know, I remember saying, nah, I don't know about all that. I don't know nothing.
Okay, so the song comes together. I think K-Day played it first.
Yeah, K-Day ran it. They made a radio version, and then K-Day, and it started being on. They had a little like top 5 lists every day. It was number 1 every day for like 2 or 3 weeks in a row. That's unheard of, and the song was just hot. But it was an underground song.
Yeah.
So there was no videos at the time, none of that, no commercials, nothing. It was just raw street music, and every day was number one. Then it just started to take off.
Yeah. And I guess at the time, you guys were talking to various, Eazy was talking to various labels. And he was getting offers from people like Island.
Yeah.
But he didn't want a traditional record deal.
Yeah. He didn't want, well, the biggest thing was he wanted his label, Ruthless, to be on the label. But Island don't do that. They'll put you down, in some small word. So they wouldn't do it. I remember me and Dre wanted to do, hey, they want to pay us something, to get us, but he held out. And I was mad at him, but later on, I'm like, okay, that was a good thing to hold out.
Yeah, I mean, Eazy saw the big picture.
Yeah.
I feel before anybody. He really, to think that this young D-boy from the street who doesn't even rap now has stumbled onto a hit song that he didn't even write, that he was sort of pushed into doing.
Yeah.
To think, okay, with this unexpected opportunity, most people would just take whatever money came their way first, but he actually said, nah, I'm actually going to do something bigger, which he absolutely did.
Yeah. Even though he didn't know what was the bigger, but he knew. I want my label, my red label, to be on the record, like it was in the McCullough days when it first came out.
Now, the first hit song, though, on Ruthless Records was JJ Fad.
Well, the first gold single and gold album was JJ Fad. The hit was Boys in the Hood.
Right.
And then the 8-Ball, Dope Man. But then was just singles. That's
underground, yeah.
But the first major hit was JJ Fad, Supersonic. And Arabian Prince did that song before he brought them to us. Because they were supposed to be on another label. And whatever happened, we ended up with them. And the guy from that label was supposed to bring the masters. And we waited all day. And Dre said, we're just going to redo the song. And we redid it. So that way, we owned everything. So it kind of worked out for the best.
Yeah. Was the beat that you guys made a lot different than the original?
No, it was exactly the same. Because Arabian made it. And Arabian was in the studio.
Oh, so he just redid it.
Yeah, we just totally redid exactly every little thing.
Right. But then, I remember I just interviewed JJ Fad. And they said that, once Dre put his ear behind it, it was a bit different.
I don't remember. Maybe mixed better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We mixed it better.
Dre with the mixing was something.
Yeah, that was me and Dre. We mixed everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Nobody else in the studio. That was us mixing because, from music, from DJing and stuff. Yeah, but that probably was just the mixing and then their album and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, and that song, even to this day, has made a massive impact.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, I just interviewed the girls. Fergie redid the song for Fergalicious. That became her
movie, Sonic.
Yeah, the Sonic movie. Yeah. Used it in the trailers.
Yeah.
They even said that, Sonic Burgers reached out to him recently to try to do something with him.
Oh, yeah. Because I hated the song when I first heard it.
You hated Supersonic?
I was like, oh, my God. But once you hear it and you hear it, and it just grows on you.
Right.
And it just caught on.
I mean, it wasn't a traditional song, the shema-nema-nema-nema, like, okay, but it kind of worked.
I like to see her write them words out.
Right. So Supersonic was the first gold record on
Gold
Ruthless.
record, single and album.
Single and album. Got nominated for a Grammy as well.
Yeah.
I think the Fresh Prince beat him out. Yeah. So did that start to bring kind of the money into the label to start like financing all the other projects?
I didn't deal with the money part. I know once we did that album, then it was time for NWA. No, time for the Eazy-E album.
Right.
Was the next one. Yeah.
Exactly. And by this time, Jerry Heller was in the mix.
Yeah, he got there after the Boys in the Hood and all that, and right before the JJ Fad and stuff. He pulled him from, because he was with the Wrecking Crew just on the tail end. So they hooked up and, he knew his game and stuff, so he got it going too.
I mean, what was your relationship with Jerry Heller?
I mean, it was cool at the time. I mean, I had nothing against him. Nothing at all. I mean, he knew his stuff. I mean, he didn't ever come to the studio. He didn't see none of that. Never been in the studio.
Oh, he would never be in the studio?
No. Oh,
okay.
No. So, I mean, he was all right, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've interviewed a lot of people around the NWA story, Arabian Prince hates him. JJ Fad thought he was great.
Yeah.
Michelle A thought he was great.
Yeah.
Depending on who you talk to,
I mean,
you're gonna get a different story.
His thing, but it was just, he was smarter than us, wiser than us. And it's just like, you're getting paid off of two ends.
Right.
You're getting 20% of the group, and you're getting 20% of the label. So who do we talk to if we want to discuss money with E, which was the label? So it was like, it's a conflict of interest. We didn't know that.
He was double dipping.
Yeah. Probably making more than we was making.
Probably. Well, 20% off the top of the label. I mean, think about that.
Yeah. And then you're getting 20% off.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, I mean, that's double dipping for real.
Yep. Okay. So then, well, first was the NWA and the Posse album, right? Which is sort of a thrown together songs.
Yeah. Well, that was already done kind of in the Boys in the Hood days. That's when Dre was dealing with the Feel of Fresh Crew, because it was all singles from other groups and stuff. But Priority ended up picking that up after we did some albums, and they put it in the middle instead of waiting for another album. They brung that one out like it was another album. Like we really did an album and we didn't do nothing. They just put it out again and it went gold. So,
well, yeah, no, I remember, when I first got introduced to, the Eazy-E album before Straight Outta Compton came out, I was just playing the NWA and the Posse album.
Really?
That's all we had, right? Yeah. I mean, we're waiting for the big album to come out, but this NWA and the Posse has some songs that we hadn't heard before. So
there was like, some of the songs was B-sides of the singles and stuff like that.
So then the Eazy album comes together. Eazy does it. Great album, by the way. Like, I mean, would I say it's my favorite, Ruthless album?
It was pretty unique.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty unique, especially the intro. It was just the first song. Oh,
right.
That was my favorite.
Still talking shit?
Yeah.
Right. And I guess the old men in the beginning.
It's Cube and Dre.
And they're throwing out like, they're saying, he came from Compton, Michigan.
Yeah, Compton.
So here I am. I'm living in the Bay going, oh, okay, Compton's in Michigan. All right. Because this is what these guys are saying. Come to find out later on, it's actually in LA.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's all types of little, and then in the album, Eazy-E lies about his age.
Yeah, the age. Yeah. He just mentioned it in the song and the people took it literally.
Yeah.
They're like,
he was like a 15-year-old.
15 or
right. He was actually
much older. And he rolled that for a while.
He rolled that for a while. So I just want to kind of go down the album because, like I said, it's one of my favorite albums ever.
Oh, yeah.
Still Talking was great.
Yeah.
The beat was great. And that's actually Michelle A. He was once a thug from around the world. That's her.
Yeah, on
in the intro. He's like, bitch, shut the fuck up.
We was crazy. Wow.
So the DOC and Ice Cube wrote Eazy's lyrics on that?
Well, DLC wrote a few, like the Still Talking. Ren wrote a lot too. People don't understand. He wrote a lot.
Well, I was just looking at the the credits for this particular album, each song. So
yeah, because some songs I didn't know Ren wrote, and it's just like, Ren wrote that.
Well, Nobody Move was written by Ren.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. Ruthless Villain,
yeah,
was Ren once again.
Yeah.
Too Hard Motherfuckers, and that's where you actually played live drums.
Yeah, first time playing drums on the actual album. I was like, wow. And I haven't touched drums for like 10 years or more since high school days.
But they're like, get on the drums.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I'm gonna get on the drums. Then of course, Boys in the Hood, Eazy Does It. That's Ren, Dre, and Eazy. Was Eazy writing anything really on that album?
No, he didn't write. Nah, he wasn't a writer. Just like a rapper. He didn't start trying to write till later, years later.
Well, Eazy's always used ghostwriters.
Yeah. Well, it's always been the same ones. Cube in the early days, Ren, and then the DLC. Once he got to the DLC, he could say the rap easier, better. He just hear Doc say it, and he just flow. We didn't have to punch him as much either.
Yeah.
He just liked the style of the Doc.
Later on, it was Dresta and so forth.
Yeah.
Right. Eazy Does It. We just mentioned We Want Eazy.
Yeah.
Which was a single.
Yeah.
Was that the first video or?
That was the first video. Yeah. That was a very expensive video. Yeah. That sure was.
Yep. DOC, I guess, wrote on that as well.
Yeah.
Easier Said Than Done. DOC wrote that. Radio.
Yeah.
I guess Ren.
Yeah.
Ren wrote that.
Because the radio was kind of from an old single on one of the singles. If I'm not, yeah, we did. I mean, it was the blue cover. Yeah, it was like we did it for the radio. Eazy Does It and Radio was kind of on the same single.
One of my favorite songs, No More Questions.
Really?
Love that song. Told Ice Cube to leave the car running. Like, just the way he was flowing.
Yeah.
And that beat was so like aggressive and it just moved, and Eazy was just so in pocket on that.
Yeah.
That I love that song.
That album had a lot of style on it.
A lot. Ice Cube wrote the lyrics to that one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break it down.
Yeah.
Ren, and then Eazy Chapter 8, verse 10.
Talking. Yeah.
That was just talking shit.
We just took space up right there.
November 23rd, 1988, the album comes out. Was it a big splash in the beginning, or did it take a while for people to really catch up to it?
It didn't take as long, as hard as we thought it would be, because the momentum from the first singles was pretty good. Then we did the JJ Fad, that kind of helped the label. But then when he dropped that, it just seemed like that's when the roller coaster started to go.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I got introduced to NWA.
Oh, okay.
Well. And someone in my high school played it for me, and I'm like, yo, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, this is so good from the production.
I mean, it was just so, before we get to the NWA, that one was ahead of itself. It was years ahead of itself. It was just in the pocket.
And I remember like I think Jerry Heller in an interview said that, well, I mean, you said he's never really in the studio, but I guess occasionally he'd come by.
Never.
Well,
never.
What he said in the interview is that he's never seen anyone who works so well together like you and Dre.
Oh yeah.
He said the you two just knew each other's moves before you even said
like the Jedi mind trick. We just okay, he finished the beat. Let's switch. Let me go program all the machine. Because we had our drum machine. We had 2 drum machines running at once. In the sequencer, in the keyboards, all this stuff. We clicked just all the time through all the Ruthless, most of the records. We just clicked. And then till later when I said I don't feel like doing an album, he just went and did the DLC by itself, but it just we just had that. We were the pre-dynamic duo, Batman and Robin.
Okay, so Eazy Does It comes out, and then I feel like NWA is off to the races at this point.
Yeah, because
that's when everyone's looking at them and
because you look at the cover of his cover. That's an NWA cover. It was all of us on it.
Yeah.
And a couple of extra people on it. But that was the NWA cover. Somebody, it might have been Dre. I remember saying, we could have been one group, but let's be two groups, separate, double the money. And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So Eazy's album, then our stuff.
Mm-hmm. So now you guys are out there. The world's most dangerous group. Was that said back then?
It had to be more towards our last album. I think I don't know if it was a reporter or somebody, I remember them saying that. It was later towards either 100 Miles and Running EP or the last album, one of them. But not in the Straight Outta Compton days.
Okay. Because...
you wait a minute. Because we end up saying the world's most dangerous group. But that was on the EP. Yeah, it was after Straight Outta Compton. Yep.
Okay, right. And at the time, gangster rap was not a real term yet.
Yeah.
And I guess a reporter just mentioned it out of the blue one day.
Somebody ended up saying, to us, it was street music. It was from the street. But somebody ended up saying gangster rap or something, a reporter. Had to be a reporter. And that's how we got labeled.
Yeah. And I guess Eazy, when he heard that, he was like, yeah, let's run with that. Let's embrace everything. I guess he just wanted to just run with everything sort of, negative and a bad boy image and outlaw and everything else like that.
It's funny.
Because it was working.
It all clicked for some reason.
Well, there was a part in the book where I guess you guys were doing a show and you guys were in the dressing room and some guy just walked in.
I knew you was going to bring that one up. Seattle, Washington. I remember it like it was yesterday. And we was in the dressing room and somebody just walked in, looked at somebody. I don't know if they knew each other. I don't think they knew each other. And boom, that person was on the ground. They got back up. And the guy said something else. Boom, one more time. And I'm like, so I'm fiddling around for a mic stand. Mic stand got that big weight at the bottom. Mm-hmm. I'm finna crack this guy. But he walked out. And that day right there learned us, we better have security.
Right.
We supposed to be so tough, but how did this guy just walk backstage into the dressing room?
You got to have security in hip hop.
Yeah.
You usually learn the hard way.
You learn the hard way.
I've got security right here in the room right now.
That's how you got to be.
That's how you got to be. That's how you got to be. Can you say who got punched?
No.
But it wasn't you though.
No, it wasn't me.
Okay. So there's 3 other people that could have been. Okay. So things start to, you guys are building up. And at one point, you actually moved in with Dre.
Yeah. Well, no. Dre moved in with me. Because my brother was the one that filled out the application. So that was in 89.
Mm-hmm.
So Dre, I guess, wanted to move away from his auntie, move out or whatever it was. He was at his auntie's, which was 1 or 2 doors away from Cube. So, that's how that click came. And yeah, we moved together and we did it for 1 year. And that's where we did the Straight Outta Compton and he did the DOC. A lot of stuff got done in that year.
Right, because I guess he said the DOC was actually sleeping on the couch.
Yes.
In that apartment.
And and I just seen him doing his documentary about a month and a half ago. And I told him, I said, Doc, you still owe me a couch. Because he slobbered all on the couch. And that's our little inner joke right there. But he always laughed every time I mentioned it.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, I interviewed DOC. And he lived with Dre a lot.
Yeah.
He stayed at Dre's house. He even said like a lot of times he wasn't even really motivated to get his own money because if he wanted to drive a Ferrari, drive Dre's Ferrari.
Yeah.
Or Dre's Benz.
Yeah.
If you want to live in a mansion, he lives in Dre's mansion. Yeah. So it's kind of like him and Dre, like it's interesting how the two of them have this kind of bond.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think made them click so much?
I don't really know, but it's just Doc's skills. He can write, and he was a good guy. So they just clicked ever since Texas when they first met.
Yeah.
Doc clicked with everybody.
Yeah, cool dude, man. I love the guy. I absolutely love the guy. People don't realize how big he is also.
Yeah.
He's like 6'4" or something.
Yeah, he's tall. Tall
He's
country
huge.
boy.
Well, there was a story that you were hanging out with Eazy one day, and he bought you a new Suzuki Sidekick.
Oh yeah,
and bought everyone new cars.
Not Ren and not Dre. Because Dre got a Benz first. Okay. I remember that, a red Benz. He got that first. And then one day he called me up and said, roll with me. I know his tricks. You'll be with him for 3 or 4 hours. I'm like, man, where we go? He said, to the car dealer. All right, I'm just thinking. And he walked in and said, you like that? I said, yeah. You want one? And I'm turning around, like, you talking to me? Yeah. And she said, what color you want? I want that green one. And that was it. I mean, just walk in and just buy a car cash. I'm just like, oh, man, we must be doing something right.
Right, because you guys aren't really getting paid at this point yet. You're not making a lot.
Yeah, not a lot, because we came out so fast and working on so much stuff. You know, royalties take months and months to build up, you know, whatever it do, but we just working. We wasn't thinking about the money. We were just thinking about the music. That was our passion. It never was about money. If it would have been about money, you wouldn't be interviewing me today. We would not be talking about this.
There was a story where you went to go pick up a check from Eazy. And he gave you a check.
Yeah, he came down to the studio because I had just worked on Yomo Markey's album. Mm-hmm. I finished it. He said, I got a check for you. He said, 90,000. Oh, yeah. Me being just ain't paying attention. I folded up, put it in my pocket. After the studio, I go to the bank. I'm at the teller. Lady looking at me funny, looking at the check. Go to the back, come back. You know this person? And I looked at, he wrote Mickey Mouse on it. I was like, oh, I could have killed him that day.
On a $90,000 check.
Yeah, he signed it to Mickey Mouse. So that was this joke.
Okay, so then the Straight Outta Compton album starts coming together.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of anticipation over this album because the Eazy-E album had created such a buzz. Boys in the Hood was such a big song. And I mean, at this point, you guys had your deal with Priority. Was Priority like putting a lot of money into it in terms of making it, or you guys pretty much did it on your own?
Well, no, he liked Priority because Priority had only the raisins, but they went platinum.
Yeah.
So that means this independent company will work for your record. You know, not like the big labels that you get pushed off in the publishing company, you know, whatever you get. But Priority worked. I mean, they worked. They hustled all our stuff. And it just started to take off. And it was just amazing.
Well, it was a hell of an album. I mean, right the way it starts with Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah.
Was just like, okay, we're off to the races here. Yeah. Like this is a serious project. Because it's so aggressive.
Yeah.
Eazy-E, Ice Cube, Ren. You yourself never rapped.
Never. I'm not a rapper. Never was.
Right, but Eazy's not a rapper either. Yeah.
But I really don't.
I mean, were there any points where Dre tried to get you to rap, or one of the other members tried to get you to rap, or?
Oh no. I said something on the later album, just a little part in a break, one of the breaks, but that's it. That ain't my thing.
Well, the second song was "Fuck the Police."
Yeah,
with Ice Cube, Ren, and Eazy, of course. And that was the song that really ruffled everyone's feathers.
Yeah.
You never heard anything like that before. The FBI actually sent you guys a letter over that.
Yeah, I mean, they sent the letter, I guess one agency to another one, and then our publicist named Phyllis, she sent something to them and went back and forth, but that is what boosted us. I mean, I don't know if that was before the MTV ban. No, the MTV ban was first. That started it.
You got banned by MTV.
Yeah, the video, Straight Outta Compton. So that lit the fire. But then the FBI came and it started catching on fire.
Right, because they made nationwide news at that point. And I remember you said something interesting. You had an interview. It was you and Lil Eazy. And they talked about, how back then, this is the 80s, you guys are talking about fuck the police, when most of America doesn't even realize what was happening with the police in black neighborhoods.
Yeah.
They think like, quote unquote.
Hunky dory. Like
those guys just resisting arrest.
But see, the thing about it, we did the song, but we didn't create it. That song was made years ago. It's been going on in the ghetto. Everybody wanted to point a finger at the cop, but you just wouldn't do it. Nowadays, they do. They be in their face and do it. But back then, you just you ain't gonna do that. Not to the used to be called Firestone sheriffs back then. Them was the ones you didn't mess with.
Right, because there's no cameras.
Yeah.
There is
no witnesses, even though they standing over there.
There's no witnesses. The cops could write up whatever they want to write up.
Wow.
No one had a cell phone. There was no,
nothing.
There was no cameras in the light
no
posts.
Body cams.
No body cams. There's nothing. I mean, you said something interesting, and you said that, because at the time, this was a few years ago, you did the interview, and they're like, what do you think about a song like "Fuck the Police," in modern day? And you said, well, the police abuse won't stop until one of these cops get 30 years.
Oh yeah, 30 years, 100 years, something.
And recently, Derek Chauvin got 22 and a half years for killing George Floyd.
Yeah.
Not exactly 30, but in the vicinity.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that sort of vindicates the song in a way?
I don't know if it vindicated, but it's like a start, a small step. Because the cops got away with the stuff because they're leagued or they whatever the unions, they protect them. They got clauses for this. I felt so I shot him 1,800 times, So until they got one guy, 22 years, but they're going to get like a row of them that really send a message to them like, y'all is wrong, now it ain't just the blacks, now they just crazy to everybody, seem like it. But, hopefully one day to get under control or get contained or change the rules or whatever they're going to do.
Well, after that song came out and you still have, decades and decades to live your life living in LA, when you come in contact with police, do some of them look at you, oh, you're the fuck the police guy. Okay. This is going to be interesting today. I mean, because at the end of the day, cops are humans. Yeah. Right. And you're not going to tell me that, even though they're supposed to be professional, they're still human beings. Yeah. If you had
the funniest thing, when we was on the set making a movie, it was the sheriff's there, real sheriff, not just a security. And he walked, and I walked up to him. I took a picture with him. I was going to post it, but I did. He said, "We not all like that." I was like, huh? He said, "No, we not all, crazy like that." I said, "You're right. It's always just a small number. That's in anything, any race. It's always a small bunch."
But did you have any friction? Because for example, like Tupac, when he went to prison, and he had a lot of very anti-police lyrics. Throughout, and he was saying in interviews how the CEOs would fuck with him. Oh. Give him unnecessary cavity searches and just really just fuck with him. Like, okay, you want to talk shit about the police? Well, now you're under our jurisdiction, so we're gonna fuck with you back. Was there ever a point where the police were fucking with you back over that song?
Never.
Really?
Never.
Okay.
Because they just, when we made it, our faces wasn't so popular, it wasn't social media. Yeah. I heard the stories about people just driving playing that song in other states, and they would stop them, pull their tape out, tear it up. Okay, you got to go buy another one. But yeah, I heard that many times from many people. Police didn't like that song, but then the more newer cops kind of like it. It's crazy. Not like it, but they can relate to it.
When you talk about one of the greatest protest songs of all time.
Yeah.
Fuck the Police. I remember when I interviewed Chuck D, Fight the Power was another one, that I put in that same sort of category. But Fuck the Police, I think had its edge.
Everybody can relate to it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't political. It's everybody can have a bad day with a cop.
Well, everyone in the world.
Yes.
Not just America.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And during them riots and the protest, it was like the most downloaded, played song.
Oh, really? So during the George Floyd protest?
Oh, yeah. Every rally, that was the theme song.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Wow, and we did that 30 years ago.
Yeah. Crazy. And it still resonates to this day. To this day. And I'm just going to go down the album real quick. Straight Outta Compton, that is. Gangster Gangster, which was already released before. We had already been bumping that. Mm-hmm. If It Ain't Rough, MC Ren.
Ren, that's strong. That boy had a strong voice.
Yeah, Ren doesn't usually get his props, along with Ice Cubes and the Eazies.
He had the strongest voice in the group.
Really?
He had the best sound in the voice. And Cube had the style. But Ren was strong.
I would say Cube had the, for me, from my point of view, I would say Cube had the strongest voice, but I could see the argument for Ren as well.
Yeah.
You know, I think it comes down to who you like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but they're both extremely dope.
Yeah.
Parental discretion is advised.
I played the drums on that. No. Not parental discretion. I played the drums on one of them. Our last song, whatever the song. No, parental discretion advised. Yeah, I played the drums on it. I just remember.
8 Ball, which had already been out.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
With
which was already out too.
Yeah.
It was the B-side.
Aha. Express Yourself.
Yeah, Dre. First time rapping, in the NWA, really.
So that was his first NWA song?
That was his first rap. Yeah, that was the first rap.
And that had a video.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And he was the president. He was supposed to have been the president.
Right. He gets, they try to shoot him.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And what's ironic about that song is he said, I don't smoke weed or stress.
At the time. He didn't.
He wasn't smoking at all?
Nobody was.
Aha. Okay. And then, later on, The Chronic comes out with his face on a zigzag cover, named after a strain of weed, and the whole album is about smoking weed. But whatever. It is what it is. Compton's in the house.
Which was my favorite. I don't know why, but that was my favorite. That was just because it was made earlier too. Because people don't realize we did that album in less than a month because most of the songs was already done. We just pulled songs from this, and made a few songs. That's all it was.
I Ain't the One.
Yeah.
Ice Cube. Solo song. Dope Man, which was already out.
Yep.
Quiet on the Set.
Yep.
With Ren.
That came off an earlier single too.
Something to Dance To, which I think was kind of like a throwback.
That's the throwback from the Arabian. That was the last of the Arabian Prince.
Yeah, that was the last like electro song.
Yeah.
I think on the that you guys did. And a song that I loved, which I had to go find later on because it wasn't originally on the album, was A Bitch Is a Bitch.
Yeah, that wasn't on the album. Yeah. Cube,
right.
Yeah.
That came out like later, I guess.
Yeah, it was a single.
Aha.
It was a single. Sure was.
Right. Did you guys get a lot of like pushback over that song?
Yeah. Somebody counted how many times we said the B word on the whole album. You guys, they said it this many times. I'm like, who sat there and count B? I'm just like, man, somebody ain't got no time. They got too much time on their hands.
Okay, so the album comes out, and then you guys go on your first and only NWA tour.
A big 40 days, 40 cities.
40 cities.
And it was it was amazing. We was the headliners, It was our Diesels with the equipment, with the stage, it was just stuff we never even thought of. We used to like shows, but it was just regular little club dates or whatever. But this is like the mega place. We played at the old, I guess it's the Spectrum or something. Where the Houston used to play, Philadelphia. We played in big, nice arenas too. And the thing about it was no incidents on it. The whole tour, none. Everybody was thinking it was going to be just fights. None.
Except for Detroit. Detroit. And it's interesting because Kid from Kid and Play is a regular guest on my show. And he was at that.
Yeah.
Kid and Play was performing with you guys.
Yeah, he was on our tour.
On that tour. And I remember he told the story, which kind of like the clip went viral, like over 1 million people watched it. But he was saying how, you guys were told not to perform, fuck the police.
Yeah.
Whose idea was it to perform it anyways?
Something. When I was on stage, because it was a 3-part stage, a 3-part set. It was NWA first, then Cube, and then E. Right when Cube come out, first song, and then Cube look at Dre. I was like, they changing the script here. Because we was like script, word by word, everything. And I heard that song, I was like, uh-oh. It just like, no, he didn't just play. we couldn't even get through the first verse. We seen these guys, cops, undercover, throwing fireworks or M80, whatever they was doing. And everybody started running this way. So we just, whoop, disappeared.
Yeah. Well, Kid actually told the story. So I guess like when the cops came in and everyone's like running, in all different directions, he ended up in a van with Ice Cube.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I don't know if you were actually in this van or not.
I ran to the hotel.
Right? And, he told this story. Ice Cube looked at him and said, and he quoted one of the Kid and Play verse. He goes, "Don't even step to us. We're getting funky."
There was a point in the song Getting Funky where we would go, "Man, don't even fuck with me. We get funky." Like that. We would do that. So that night, we flipped it. We went back to the original and we was like, "Man, don't even mess with me. We getting funky." Blah, 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 blah. Then later on, NWA went on and they started cussing and whatever like that. And we all had to run out off the stage into the van before the cops came and run back to the hotel, right? So man, we all ran in and we're all in the van together. I'm in the van and we got Ren and Ice Cube and they were all up in there. And then I think it was Cube. Cube looked at me look at me like I'm a sucker. And he was like, "Man, don't even mess with me. We're getting funky." I was like, "Shut up."
And he just had to just sit there and just take it. Like, it's like, here we are doing "Fuck the Police," and you're doing your little clean raps. Like,
yeah, I'm just like, oh man, it's so funny because I know we didn't get paid that night, and I was like, wow. But the movie had us where we got arrested. We ran out. We all met at the hotel, and then we was packing our bags to leave for Canada on the bus. It was only a couple of miles, and we got in the elevator. And these three guys turned, they was facing the wall. Why are you facing the wall? Mm-hmm. We get in there, the doors closed, and they turn around, badges came out. I was like, oh, they caught us. All that to give us a ticket. $150.
$150. All that. Now, was TK Kirkland the opening act?
No, he was like the MC.
The MC.
The comedian MC through the whole tour.
TK Kirkland was also a regular on my show.
Uh-huh.
It's funny, like if you look at any VladTV YouTube video, mm-hmm. there's always a fake TK Kirkland taking credit for whatever happens in that video. Because TK Kirkland has done everything with everybody. Oh, okay. He was involved in every major event throughout history. And the funny part is that when you actually look it up, it's actually true.
Wow.
He'll tell his stories and you'll look it up.
Really?
So do you remember any of your interactions with TK on this tour?
He was funny. He was a joke, just like a comedian 24 hours a day. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was funny. That was the first time I ever heard of him, on the tour. I'm like, we got a comedian, an MC. I didn't know, but he was pretty good in between every act and stuff. Had the crowd laughing and stuff. But our tour and the show was like clockwork. It just flowed on time. We never was late because if you late, it costs you. Because it's union fees and all that stuff. So we was an on-time tour. No complaints, nothing.
Right. And TK told a story about how he had brought in a girl. He had flew in a girl or something. And Eazy-E went and told him that Ren actually slept with his girl.
I got this girl in Kansas City. I go do the show, but she's taking her time getting dressed. Now, this is my first tour, so I'm learning. So I have to be there for sound check at 6. So I go, and she doesn't show up. Still doing my thing. She doesn't show up. So she finally comes. No, I'm not thinking anything. I'm a young kid. I'm on tour with NWA, having a good time. So 2 o'clock in the morning, Eazy-E knocks on the door. I got my pajamas on. I come to the door, cracking. He said, TK, come here. His little ass. Come here. So I get outside, shut the door halfway. He says, Ren slept with that girl while he was on stage. I'm like, what? And he falls out in the hallway. And he just doesn't fall out. He's rolling down the hallway laughing at me. So pride, I go into the room, I wake the young lady up, and I tell her she had to go. I took all her stuff and put it in the hallway.
Oh, I never heard that story.
And he sent the girl home. He's like, all right, well, that's your girl then.
Wow.
Keep her. But, and you saw this in the movie. I mean, you guys were running through girls like crazy during that tour.
I know I did. Every night. 40 days, 40 dates, 40 girls. And I was like, that was just my thing.
Hey man, listen,
I throw myself under the bus. I don't throw nobody else.
I feel you, man. Listen, when I started DJing and touring internationally, it's just
come on. It comes with the territory.
It comes with the territory, and it's a good part of the territory as well. Like to have a different girl at every show, because yeah, man, I feel it. I feel I got to experience a little bit of it, and I can see, I can see why it's so alluring. But you were just running through girls like crazy.
Oh yeah, we just did. I just did my thing.
Okay. Any crazy experiences with girls on that tour?
Nah.
Regular.
Well, we was in Atlanta. I remember I left with this girl. She dropped me back off at the hotel. I'm coming to the room because me and Dre were always roommates, and the door was open. And I walked in. Dre's there asleep. Then there's somebody sleep in my bed. I'm like, Dre, who is that? He woke up. I don't know. I'm like, you guys are asleep with the door wide open and you guys just sleep in the room. I'm like, man, that was the craziest thing I ever seen right there. I don't know where she came from. He didn't know her. I guess she just walked in the room and just got it. I mean, under the covers in my bed. I was like, well, you got to go.
Well, up to this point, you guys don't have any contracts at all.
Not until we went to San Diego.
Okay. So near the end of the tour, you guys get approached and you were handed contracts.
Yeah. I remember that day. I walked in, $75,000 check. This was the first time getting that kind of money. $75,000, for to sign the contract. I picked the contract up, flipped it over, signed it. Had no representation, no lawyer, nothing. Hey, we was young, and we had nobody to talk to about that.
Right, but in the book, you even described how after going through the World Class Wreckin Cru experience and not having contracts and
didn't learn,
and not knowing about publishing and whatever else, you were like, okay, well, next time around, I'm going to learn. So you're handed this 120-page contract and a $75,000 check. You did not read one word.
I have no idea what was in it. It could have said dog, dog, dog. It's just young, that kind of money. You don't have a manager. The manager is supposed to be going over all that, but the manager is also the label's manager.
Right.
So it's
Jerry Heller. So Jerry Heller was the one that gave you the contract?
It was his room. Walked right in there. I sure folded my check up and left with it.
Right. And everyone else signed. So Dre signed.
Yeah. I didn't know till later that Cube didn't sign.
Yeah. Ren signed, but Cube did not sign.
Yeah.
He said, this is not enough.
Yeah. I don't know what he said. Well,
it was something like that, I'm sure.
Yeah. We never talked about it, though. That's the crazy part. We never really talked about that.
Right. But because he didn't sign and he was not contractually obligated to anything, he left the group.
Yeah, right at the end of the tour, which was probably a couple of weeks left in it. And then that last day, that was the last time I saw Cube for years.
Yeah. Well, and Dre's brother gets killed on that tour?
Yeah, during the tour.
During the tour, yeah.
Before the middle, kind of the early part, I remember being on the bus and hearing somebody crying. I'm like, who's that? I went back there and it's Dre, on his knees crying. I'm like, so I didn't really, I'm like, then somebody told me his brother got killed accidentally or got caught in a fight and got tripped and hit the curb.
Yeah.
So that's how he died. So that was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, years later, when Dre dropped 2001, he actually did a song dedicated to his brother.
Yeah.
I think it was called The Message.
Yeah.
And you actually knew Dre's brother as well.
Oh, yeah. I knew Tyree well. We used to hang out and everything.
Yeah. So it hit you hard as well.
Yeah. It was just like, wow. That was great. Because he was supposed to come on the tour with us. But he didn't come on the tour. I don't know why. Because Dre's cousin, all these we had a lot of people helping her, carrying our luggage or whatever they did. I think he was supposed, but I think he had a job. That's why he didn't come.
Yeah, sad. Okay, so the DOC album, was that done before or after the tour?
That was done right before the tour.
Uh-huh.
Right after we finished Straight Outta Compton, we finished on a Friday. Monday morning, Dre said, I'm going there to do Doc's album. You want to come? Nah, I'm upset. Because we had just did that. I'm like, that's enough for me right now. So that's why I didn't do no producing on it or nothing. I just said, nah, you can do that by yourself. And that's what he did.
Classic album.
Yeah.
I mean, when you heard it, what'd you think?
Oh, great album.
Yeah.
I even played the drums on that one too. But Doc was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
He was finna to be the next solo artist, the big one.
Yeah, I remember when we interviewed, and this was something I never noticed until you mentioned it, he didn't curse at all on that whole album.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Considering the group that he was affiliated with.
Yeah. But his flow was so...
Yeah.
Oh, man, it was so good.
And the grand finale, the song grand finale was the last NWA song that was ever done with everyone together.
Yeah, Cube was on that. What's
Yeah.
Cube? Yeah.
Motherfuckers out slaughter, blow them out the water. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That was the last time everyone, the whole group was all together on the same song.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Period.
Sure is. I never thought about that.
Yeah. So that was the next album to come out, the DOC album.
Mm-hmm.
And that one does well.
Yeah. It went platinum too.
Yeah. It went platinum. So then some other projects come out. The Michelle A album comes out. That was great. Like Nice Tea.
It took a while for him to do that one, but it came out. Yeah.
And were they a couple during this whole time? Dre and Michelle A, or on?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I stay out of grown folks' business.
Okay. Got it. Then a bunch of stuff started coming. Above the Law dropped.
Yeah.
Living Like Hustlers.
Yeah.
Were you involved in that?
No.
Okay.
No.
That was Dre?
Yeah, that was all Dre.
Okay. Terry B, a white female rapper, Power of a Woman came out right around that same time in May of 1990.
Wow, really?
Yeah. That one didn't make that big of a splash.
No, it was just a single. They said it had an album, but I don't remember the album.
It's called Power of a Woman.
Yeah. All I remember is one single and E did it. And I guess she slapped him in the video or something.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a full-blown album. I'm looking at the track listing right now. Eazy-E's on it. Schoolie D is on it. Everlast is on it.
I didn't know that.
QD3, I guess, did some of the production.
Really?
The DOC and Dre is on one of the songs. Player, yeah. I mean,
it was a Ruthless album, so
right. I don't think it didn't really do.
No.
Yeah, I'm looking. It sold 10,000 copies.
Okay, it didn't do nothing.
Didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
But then 100 Miles and Running came out.
Yeah.
Which I think is sort of like the slept on classic.
Yeah. Because people was wondering what was we gonna do without Cube. Cube was the main 1/3 of the voices on it. So Dre had to fill that void right there. He was the third. He was the complete the three again. And people was wondering what are they gonna do? And we just came out.
Why'd you guys decide to do an EP as opposed to another album at that point?
Album would have took too long.
Uh-huh.
And then Priority was hounding us for an album. And think about it. That's when the Posse one came out before that. Mm-hmm. It's just to fill that little blank spot. Because we was on fire, but we, kind of took a break a little bit.
Right. And it's really 4 songs and
a commercial.
A commercial at the end. Yeah. 100 Miles and Running, which was the lead off single. You guys had a video for that.
Yeah.
Just Don't Bite It, which was my favorite song.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was
you
all
should have heard the original sample. They didn't let us use the original sample.
Oh, they wouldn't clear it.
I don't want to say who it is. I think it was Herbie Hancock. Somebody from the old days called us in the studio and Dre talked to him. They would not let us use the song. She swallowed it. He said, "Oh, my wife." They wouldn't let us use the song. So we had to remake everything.
Well, whatever you guys did worked.
Yeah.
Because I remember you guys did a part 2 on the next album, which I didn't like as much as the original.
The first one, it's hard to beat the original.
It's hard to beat the original, right. Surprise.
Yeah.
And Real N-words.
Yeah.
Was number 4 on there. And I thought it's a great project.
That's the one I talked on.
Aha.
I talked in that break.
And then in 1991, the For Life album comes out.
Yeah.
Why'd you guys decide to do the whole backwards thing?
We was on a tour bus. That 89, I remember I wrote the name down and then I put it in the mirror. The name of the album, I put it in the mirror and Cube or somebody said, "Oh, you finally did something. That is great." That's what they did. They wrote it backwards. Because we really didn't want to say "in for life," out. So we just E for zagging. That's that's how it sounds when you say it backwards. And I remember that day. That was the name of the album way before it even was done.
Yeah, I mean, it was a hell of an album. It went number 1 on Billboard and actually shipped gold.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, think about this. That album was better production. We grown up on the production, but it was better than Straight Outta Compton. But Straight Outta Compton was a better album because it was the original. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know what you mean because the production was a lot more polished.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot more kind of keyboard work on this and
instrument, real guys playing stuff.
Yeah.
No samples. Hardly no samples.
Yeah, it sounded like it. Like it. And when you hear, like, for example, The Chronic, you could kind of see the progression from For Life.
Yeah.
There's definitely a more similar sound.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're right. Straight Outta Compton, I thought was a more powerfully produced album.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I could see how the production might be technically better.
Yeah.
But like, there was no Straight Outta Compton, a song. There was like a Straight Outta Compton song on that second album.
Yeah.
That just had that level of strength and energy, in my opinion.
And somebody on that album, somebody counted how many times we said the N-word. They counted all of them. I'm just like, wow.
And I guess when you guys did the video for Approach to Danger, the Hughes brothers were actually the camera people on it.
Yeah, the Hughes brothers was around trying to make a little B movie or whatever they were trying to do. I remember them around a lot.
Yeah.
And then I hear a year later, hey man, they do a movie?
Right.
Like these the same two brothers?
Yeah, the twins. And I mean, one of the Hughes brothers actually did the Defiant Ones with Dre.
Oh, I didn't know
later
that.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
did a lot of pretty big movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of big movies. I'm just like, that's the same guy.
Menace to Society.
Yeah.
Eli
book or
Dead Presidents.
Oh yeah, all kind of
a lot of shit.
Yeah.
A lot of shit. They started with you guys.
Man, actually Approach the Danger. Yeah. Because it was just, I remember going in the studio, putting that together, just editing video clips they used to have a little 8mm camera and take a little crazy little shots. And I just put it together and it was a video.
Well, and the group broke up after that.
They actually was broke up before that.
Aha.
When I did that, when we made the home video, NWA's home video, and Approach the Danger video I put together, the group was already broke up. It really was technically broke up. Right.
And you talked about in the book how are you going to break up at number 1? Usually when groups break up, it's,
think about it. What big rockers or metal or what? Nobody breaks up when they on top.
No.
They break up when they down at the bottom fighting each other or whatever's going on. But at number 1, that's amazing.
I mean, why? Number 1, you ship gold. I mean, you have the number 1 album in the country of any genre in the entire United States of America out of all the major label albums and all the money that goes into pushing albums to number 1, labels buying their own copies and all the crazy shit that happens in the music industry. You guys are number 1 and also the center of attention, period.
Yeah.
Why break up?
You know what it is? It wasn't the group itself. The group was never mad at each other. Mm-hmm. I don't care what people say. We never had an argument, never had a problem. It's always somebody on the outside looking over the shoulders, what they can get out of it. So they get in different people's ear. That's what it was. It wasn't the group. It was the outsiders. Put them into whatever happened. whatever was said. That's what broke up the group. That's the only thing that broke it. Plus a couple of little extra things, like we were supposed to do the tour with Guns N' Roses. A couple of shows in Florida. $25,000 for 10,000 for a 10-minute set. $25,000 back in 91. That's excellent. We'll take that. But Mr. Manager wanted $50,000. So they backed out. It didn't happen. If that tour, if we could have got on Guns N' Roses tour, they did all stadium. They didn't do arenas. They did stadiums.
Yeah.
I think the group might have stayed together for a while. But that was like the last nail on the coffin. Because me and Dre wanted to get back on the road.
Yeah.
That was our life, was the road. Not the studio. The road was it. But it never happened.
Right. And you said in the book that you guys just never argued.
Yeah.
There was no arguments. There was no fist fights. There was no beefing over girls.
None of that. Yeah, we was like all brothers, family, locked tight, this tight. That's how we was. But other people penetrated. That's what happened.
Well, Dre called you one day and said, "I'm gone. You coming?"
You know something? It took me from 1991 to 2019 to answer that question.
And what was the answer?
That long.
What was the answer?
I still didn't have an answer. Cause you know what it was? I was caught in the middle.
Yeah.
Dre is my buddy. E is my buddy. So by me not answering or not doing anything, I just get caught. I didn't say I'm going to stay with E or I'm going to go. I should have went with Dre, but I didn't. I was kind of naive about it. I'm just like, I don't know what's going on.
Well, I mean, there's a great argument for both.
Yeah.
It's not like Eazy-E was a slouch by any stretch of the imagination.
But I didn't pick side. I didn't pick a side.
Well, but you kind of did by staying.
I know. I'm guilty by association. I should have left with Dre. But then that night in 2019, Dre said, "I'm kind of glad you didn't come." Because whatever he went through. But he said that. He said, and that bugged him until 2019. That was the last time I seen him, November. I remember. And, it was some tears and stuff like that. But that was
Wait, who cried?
Me. Because it was just like, I was just caught, which way do I go? So I don't do nothing, but now I'm associated with him, But that's why when they did diss songs, I didn't produce them. I didn't get into videos, none of that stuff.
Well, because did Ren leave the same year also, or?
Ren kind of left too after Dre. Once Dre left, then the group was over. That was it. The group was done.
Did you and Eazy have a conversation over everyone leaving?
Never.
Seems
knew it.
Seems odd.
I knew it hurt him.
Yeah, of
but
course.
we never had real conversations like that. None of us. Just like when Cube left, we didn't really sit and talk about that. It just, he left, It's time to go move on.
Eazy sort of had an interesting kind of set of events around that time. At one point, he had dinner in the White House with George Bush. Remember that?
Yeah, he got backlash for that. All publicity is good publicity, good or bad. Because he didn't know when he donated maybe $1,000 or whatever to that party or whatever it was. He didn't know they didn't know who he was.
Right, just a rich guy.
Yeah, they said, "Oh, he donated. Let's pull him down here. We get more money."
So he donated $100,000 to George Bush in the Republican
Party. I don't
Party.
think it was $100,000. I thought it was $1,000.
$1,000?
If it was $100,000,
okay,
I can see why he got to go. It had to be something.
I don't have more than $1,000 to get an invite like that.
I can imagine.
Or maybe I remember reading about this. I guess maybe it wasn't the amount, but I think what had happened was when he donated, they kind of looked him up and they saw what he was what he was making in terms of his salary.
Yeah, could have been.
And they're like,
they said, we can get him.
Let's get this entrepreneur in here.
Yeah.
He's donating, not realizing it's Eazy-E.
Yeah.
And I guess he showed up with his Lokes on. And
I don't know how he got in the building. Where's the Secret Service at? But he got a lot of publicity off of that, but it wasn't good publicity. But
did you guys ever talk about that? Nah. Well, I remember around that time also, the Rodney King thing happened.
Yeah.
And Eazy actually supported one of the cops.
Well,
that beat up.
He had his way of saying it. Well, I see his angle, because I guess that cop was wasn't really one of the ones doing all the hitting.
He was also Mexican, I think.
Yeah. So he kind of had his opinion. He wasn't really for the cops, but he was just singling out the one guy. I remember. He got backlash from that too. Uh-huh. And I give him, in the eye, because that's when I was making the home video in the studio. I remember. I look at him like, what are you doing? What did you say?
Well, I mean, okay, so there's an article about it in the LA Times. So, he got interviewed about it. He said, what the cops did to Rodney King was wrong. The officers who beat him should be sent straight to prison.
Yeah.
I went to the trial to support Rodney King because I'm curious. The difference is that most people look at the video and say 4 white officers were responsible for the beating of this helpless, innocent black man. I say wrong. 3 white officers were responsible for beating Rodney King, and the other officer, Theodore J. Brazeno, happens to be Mexican-American, and he tried to stop them.
Now, see that, I have no idea. That's what I'm saying. He kind of had an excuse why he went on his side or whatever it was.
Yeah, and someone who I know very well, and I've talked to them about this on camera, Willie D from the Ghetto Boys, was upset about that.
Yeah.
He said Eazy-E is a sellout.
Yeah.
He got everybody all riled up with the police and justice, or fuck the police.
Yeah.
But I guess he was sincere. I guess maybe he should have called song being Fuck Being Broke, because that's all Eazy-E seems to care about. He ain't about nothing but money.
I don't know, I supported him, but yeah, I gave him the little evil eye, but that's all it was. That was like one day it was over and it was done. I
mean, Eazy was a master of playing the media.
Yeah.
He really was, from day one.
You got to know how to use it.
Well, Ice Cube had left the group, and you guys never made a song about him, but you did take shots at him. You took shots at him on 100 Miles and Running. You took shots on him on the For Life album.
Like a verse. Matter of fact, always into something.
Yeah.
That was the closest to saying something about it, and that was only 1 or 2 lines Dre said.
Right.
That was it.
Right. And then the whole
commercial. We did a commercial.
Yeah, there was that. The D Barnes thing happened. Where she kind of put an Ice Cube video segment.
I remember that segment.
Yeah,
she slipped him in right at the end.
She slipped him in, which caused more friction, and then the Dre and D Barnes thing happened, and she, he brought D Barnes in for the Defiant Ones to talk about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't watch that, the documentary?
I did it, but I don't. I just never watched.
Yeah, D Barnes actually spoke about it, and he accepted responsibility for it and so forth. And then Ice Cube finally responded with No Vaseline.
Yeah.
Now I remember in the book you felt like, you guys only took a few shots at him. He did a whole song, but I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
he did take the shots first. You got to take responsibility for that.
Yeah, we threw a couple of shots. We just kind of threw a punch. But then he dedicated a whole song. And I told him before shooting the scene for the movie, he called me that night. He said, "So what really happened in the studio about the song?" I said, "Just like they did in the movie." I said, "You got us."
Yeah.
That's all it was. It wasn't we're going to go over here and kill him, break his... Nah. It just, he got us. He made a song about us and he got us. That's it.
Well, but there was some incidents. Not that you were involved in, but I think like Cole 187 from Above the Law got into some physical...
That.
Okay, well, but it happened though. I remember I interviewed... I mean, they were getting into it with each other at that time. So there was some violence that happened over it. But it seems like after No Vaseline, really the back and forth publicly stopped.
Yeah.
And I remember interviewing Be Real, who was really close to Ice Cube during a certain time. And he said that, they ran into Eazy this one time and he thought like, okay, it's about to be a shootout. He had his guns on and whatever else. And Eazy just put his hand out. Ice Cube gave him a pound.
We come down to the fucking parking garage, and as we're rolling to his car, Eazy's rolling up, and I notice him right away. I'm like, oh shit. I'm thinking it's about to pop off and I'm about to be right here.
Did Eazy have some own bodyguards with him? Or?
He was by himself.
By himself, okay.
Cube was by himself. Well, he wasn't by himself. He had me.
Yeah.
And Eazy was like solo. He didn't need to roll around with bodyguards if he didn't want to. He had respect. Both of them did. You know what I mean? But at that moment, I thought, oh shit, I'm about to see a fair one jump off, right? I thought the fair one was about to happen. Because I wasn't gonna jump in that. That's
between them.
That's between them. If anything, I'll break it the fuck up. But realistically, I thought the fair one was about to happen. But they handled their shit like gentlemen. They said what's up to each other, shook each other's hand that fast, that quick, and then
and they just kept it moving.
Because it wasn't a real beef. It was not really. It made seem like it in the public, but it wasn't. Oh, I'm gonna kill him. Be in the studio talking about. Nah, never that. It never was a real beef.
Yeah.
I mean, because he just left. It wasn't. Hey, you guys, I'm gonna leave because of it. No, he just left.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't come back. That's all it was.
Well, Dre forms Death Row. You knew Suge Knight already because he was DOC's bodyguard.
I mean, I met him.
You met him. You met him.
I just met him.
And then there was the whole thing, and this was played out in the movie over, Eazy being forced to sign a contract.
I heard about it. We never talked about it. I remember doing a press conference I don't know when it happened or whatever happened, in front of, I forgot where it was. We did a press conference. I didn't even know what it was for. And he didn't really talk about it, but whatever he was talking about, I can't remember, but I remember doing some kind of press conference for something happened. We never talked about it. We never talked details about none of that stuff.
Yeah, and I remember there was an interview with Jerry Heller, and I believe it was on the Murder Master Mix show. And he was saying how, it was with, Jerry Heller was talking about meeting with Eazy during this time, and Eazy told him that he's going to kill Suge.
Oh.
And Jerry Heller basically talked him out of it and was like, yo, listen, like, we were making so much money right now. We got all these projects that were so successful. You're going to risk all this over this one guy? Like, and he talked him off the ledge, but he said that knowing Eazy, he would have done it.
I don't know about all that. That could be more hype. I mean, I know basically what happened or not what happened. I know the solution what happened. And there was no more beef after that. So it wasn't, it's something totally different.
Right. Well, I mean, the overall story I heard, and I heard different versions of it as well. Like, I think BG Knockout said that Dre called Eazy for a meeting. When Eazy showed up, a bunch of guys came out from the closet or something. Who knows? Who really knows what happened on that day unless you talk to the people who are actually involved.
Yeah.
A lot of them aren't here anymore. But, allegedly Eazy signed, but then said that he signed under duress. So it was thrown out.
I heard something like that. So that's the legal term.
Yeah, meaning that it wasn't a real signature.
Yeah.
And they ultimately re-signed, and Dre had to give a piece of whatever he made on Death Row to Eazy. So Dre Day made Eazy's payday, in so many words, because, the Chronic comes out and Dre starts dissing Eazy at that point, on Dre Day and on some of the skits.
I mean, I never heard the Chronic album.
You never heard the Chronic album?
Never heard it. Just like Cube stuff. I never listened to that.
Really?
Never. I just never. I heard the main song, but I never just sat there and listened to the album. So I can't comment on. But they went back and forth with this. Dre made one, E made one, and I was in the middle. I'm like, I ain't either way. I'm like, nah, I ain't doing all that.
Right. Well, because Eazy started dissing Dre. On a couple songs, and the big song was Compton City Cheese with BG Knockout, who's a regular on my show, and Dresta, who I've had on as well. And although you didn't want to get involved in that, you actually had to mix that record.
Yeah. I had to mix the whole EP and stuff. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. I mean, two friends, the beef wasn't as deep as people think it was. I mean, like I said, there's more publicity to beef than actual, I'm going to see you, I'm going to kill. Nah, it wasn't all that.
I mean, were there conversations about NWA getting back together with Cube and Dre and Eazy and bring back Ran and everything and you as well?
I think it was a kind of slight conversation. Oh, we might be doing this back, doing this again. So that's when me, and Ren did a song that was on E's last album. And that was it. There wasn't I didn't hear no more talk of anything else after that.
Well, Bone Thugs and Harmony got in the mix. They got signed and they blew up.
Yeah.
So this was sort of Ruthless' last serious success.
Yeah, that was the last of the real Ruthless.
Yeah. Yeah. And they became a legendary group.
Yeah.
But I guess around that time, and you talked about it in the book, the Ruthless was in debt for like over $1 million.
I remember being on the plane in 1994, and he had like a back of an album cover, the inside, and he had all this stuff wrong. I was like, what is that? Because this is the first time me and him ever sat on the plane going anywhere. The first time. First and last time. He said, all this. And I'm like, what? And he was showing me. It was like $1 million. I'm like, I didn't see what it was. Because he always helped people. Get people apartments, get people cars, all kind of. He just helped a lot of people. And then, Mr. Manager was running the company down to the ground. Because I've seen things he done, I ain't gonna say what it is, but he had a stack of credit cards. And I remember him every day, ching, 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 every day. I'm like, wow, what's that all about? But the company got ran down because we had lost all the deals, all the distribution deals. And, they just, I don't know what happened. They just started to fall. If you're not producing albums and stuff, to fulfill them contracts, you start losing them.
Well, but the catalog, you got 2 NWA albums, you got Michelle A's album, you got Eazy-E's album. Now you got all the Bone Thugs.
Yeah, you got all that.
You have this catalog.
Well, that was right before Bone Thugs hit.
Okay.
It was right.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. So Bone Thugs kind of put you guys back in the black again.
Well, by the time they hit, it was he almost passed.
Okay.
By the time they hit.
At this point, you start your whole, adult film company and you're doing your thing with that. And then Eazy-E called you one day from the hospital.
Yeah, I was at his house shooting in Norwalk. And he called me. And I'm like, what was he calling me for? He bugging me on my set. I had to stop shooting. And he called me and said, hey, watch yourself. Huh? I don't remember nothing else but watch yourself. He said that twice. And I didn't know what he was talking about till later when I found out what he had. But then I see what he was saying. He talking about watch the girls, because I was shooting girls and, there's, benefits with sometimes. So he was telling me, watch the girl. Because he never wanted me to know he had AIDS. He never told me. I didn't get to go to the hospital, nothing at all.
Right. He called you, and by this point, he had full-blown AIDS.
I don't know. At that time, this was before Cedars-Sinai.
Okay.
This was 2 weeks before Cedars-Sinai.
Okay.
He went in for bronchitis or whatever. I think it was some kind of breathing. That's what he went in that hospital for. That's where he called me from the little hospital. And then I guess 2 weeks later, he went to Cedars-Sinai. But by the time he got to Cedars-Sinai, it might have been full-blown or something.
Right, because you went to go see him. He was already in a coma.
Yeah, that was after the surgery. They were trying to do a surgery to clear his lungs or whatever it is. And they knew whatever it was, 50-50 chance that he can knock him out of it. So they put him in a coma. He wasn't in a coma. They induced the coma. Yeah.
When you walked into that hospital room and you see your close friend, the guy that changed your entire life, that took you from being a valet to, having a career that lasted for the rest of your life. And you saw him in a coma with tubes and the beeping and everything else like that.
The crazy thing is when I walked in, I did not know he couldn't talk. So I go in, I grab his hand, I'm talking to him. He ain't responding, but I feel his hand. He was not supposed to move. His hand ain't supposed to move, but I feel him like he knew I was there, that he might be able to hear me. And then when I went out, that's when I found out he was in an induced coma. I'm like, I'm up here talking to him, and I'm like, what? I'm just like, wow. It's crazy to see one of your best friends, dying or, in a bad shape. That's something different. That's something that's hard to take.
Did you cry at that point?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I cried in the room, not as much, try to be tough, but.
Yeah.
Because I remember Dre had came just 2 hours before me. And I just like, wow. It was crazy. It was just weird, just like, wow, this is crazy.
Well, from what I understand, I mean, he had been in a relationship with Tamika for a while, and I guess she was pregnant at the time.
Yeah, that was his last kid. Yeah.
Yeah. But they actually got married on his deathbed, from what I understand.
I don't know, but
they signed the paperwork while he was in the hospital.
They got married in the hospital. That's
what I'm saying.
No, he wasn't out.
But this was essentially the bed that he died in.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that, but he was fully aware of everything.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in there. He was in Cedars for about a month.
Aha.
Yeah, at least 3 to 4 weeks, at least.
And I interviewed Lil Eazy. We spoke about that, and he said, at the time, Tamika was almost like the only logical choice because his parents were too old, were not involved in his business at all. And there was really no one around that really understood the business that he could kind of hand over the company to. Yeah. So he chose Tamika.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's very touchy on what a lot of people feel, what happened at the hospital, where she come from, how she get this, how she got that. It's just like, a lot of gotta understand it's like this. It's one way or the other. You don't have things situated and set up. You can't leave it to your parents. They don't know too much, Let's just say a whole heap of company, or they, as Suge would say, or anybody in that sense, let me use one of his words, are gonna fight you for this and get it. Or they end up taking it away from you. You can't give it to no kids. You know what I mean? So at the time, being in music herself, what are the understanding they got? Can I honestly tell you the understanding at the time, that day on the bed? No. My grandmother, yeah, she can. Have I asked her? I don't care to. You know what I mean? It happened. You know what I mean? I don't care to. And the times that I want to, I could. There's times that I can fish for certain things, but I have a knowledge to what the situation was going on at the time when he decided to say, hey, this is what we're going to do. And this is what's going to happen.
I mean, because I knew my buddy, close buddy, that was there every day in the hospital with him. Because he wouldn't tell me. He told him, don't tell me he's in there. And he never told me. Me and him would shoot the movies, and after the movie, he'd go to the hospital. But I didn't know where he was going. Every day he was there talking to him. Every day.
Really?
And then I guess one day they came in, lawyers, got married, whatever, what happened. But he was fully aware. He wasn't under no influence. He wasn't out. He wasn't.
Okay, so it's not like he's in and out of a coma and they just take his hand and...
He didn't get into a coma until they induced the coma.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, anything else, I have no idea. But that I know.
Well, then one day the lawyer called you and he told you that Eazy-E passed away.
Yeah. Well, my buddy told me earlier that night, but it really didn't hit yet until the lawyer called. I was like, wow, that's, it's just like, what do? You don't even think, it's crazy. Especially, we were such a tight bunch, and then it just all fell apart. And now one of the guys died. It's crazy.
Well, I guess you had a dream that night.
Yeah.
And you said Eazy came to you in that dream.
I knew he was going to come to me. And I said, Eric, don't come to me. I knew it. And that night, he sure came. And it was, I don't know if it was a dream, vision, or whatever it was. It was so real. Me and him flying, and we touching hands like this. That's how, and we just flying, we just talk. I don't remember the conversation, but I remember him saying, I'm going to be all right. It's time for me to go. And I looked this way, and I looked back, never saw him again. I was just like, wow, that was crazy.
Well, a lot of people close to Eazy, like Bone Thugs, BG Knockout, and even JJ Fad, who I spoke to recently, felt like there was some level of conspiracy around his death.
You know something? A lot of people say that. I have no idea. But I put it like this. Whether it was, whether it's not, I don't know. But it's not going to bring him back. He ain't coming back. I mean, I lost a friend. So, you know, it is what it is. I don't know. And I really don't want to know.
Yeah, I mean, Suge did that infamous interview where he did the whole injecting. Oh, you inject him with AIDS, you know, which ultimately spawned a whole level of conspiracy that's going to this day. You know, there was the whole thing about he had all these girlfriends, even while he was with Tamika. You know, she would say how he would leave and come back and, you know, whatever. And he had kids that were born after he died, but yet.
I don't know none but the one that Tamika had.
No, there was another.
Oh,
there was like 2 Erics.
No, that Eric was before Little Eric.
Oh, was it?
That's how he came back. He's older. He's the oldest. Little Eric was the oldest, as far as I knew.
Yeah.
But then I guess recently they found out there's another
Eric. That's what I'm saying.
That's a little bit older than this Eric. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I shouldn't be telling that out.
How many kids did Eazy have?
I have no idea. I only know just a couple of them. So
yeah. You know, so there's the whole thing about like he had all these kids, but no one else, and all these other girls, but no one came up HIV positive except for him. So you know, there's always going to be the talk of it. But you're right, it's not going to bring him back.
Yeah,
it's not going to bring him back.
Yeah.
And Eazy-E's lawyer called you the next day for a press conference.
Yeah. I remember that in front of the hospital on that Monday. Yeah. On that Monday. And I'm like, you know, it was already like sad enough being there. And then all these reporters and stuff. And then he say this, I don't know, script, whatever that E supposed to wrote. And when I heard it, he don't say homeboy. He don't say this. You know, that's how I knew he didn't write it. I knew that. I was like, he didn't write that. So they had to write it, you know, I guess once he died or something. I don't know when they wrote it, but I know he didn't write that last thing.
Well, yeah, there was a statement that was read by his lawyer. You know, he talks about how, you know, AIDS doesn't discriminate. He said, I'm not saying this because I'm looking for a soft cushion wherever I'm heading, but I've got thousands of young fans that have to learn about what's real when it comes to AIDS. I learned just last week that it doesn't discriminate. It affects everyone. Yeah, and you're right. There was some other stuff about, you know, homeboys, and, you know, and talking about all the beautiful women he's been with and everything else like that. But, you know, and look, you could say there's a conspiracy, but, you know, I believe Eazy did an interview with Howard Stern where he said he doesn't use condoms.
Yeah.
He said he never uses condoms. And, you know, the kids sort of proved that particular point, right? And at the end of the day, you know, as someone who has been on tour, who's been in the industry, man, these same girls are messing with everyone. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? It'll be like, you know, that song, every other city we go, I see the same hole. That's some real shit. It'll be like, I mean, even in social media, you see these rappers dating the same girl, and then she moves around, and these groupies, you know, go and whoever comes to town. And I went through it in my tours. Like, I slept with some girl in Australia, and I talked to my homeboy, and he slept with the same girl. I talked to my other homeboy, and he slept with the same girl. Wow. Like this is just how it goes sometimes. And, you know, a lot of times these girls don't care about condoms and everything else like that. No one's getting tested. There was no there was no, Truvada, which you could take to prevent HIV.
Oh, really?
There was no cocktails.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. No, there's something called Truvada, which is something, it's a daily pill that you take, and it's like 99% effective in preventing HIV if you come in contact with it.
Wow.
But back then, that was not available. So it is what it is. So you don't think that Eazy wrote that speech?
I don't think. Nah, it don't sound like it. Yeah. It didn't sound like his words.
Well, you end up going to the funeral. You were the only NWA member to go.
I just, I went. That's all I can say. I went. I was there. So,
right.
It was hard enough to go. Even to be there when they put the dirt on the coffin. Looking at that and just like. But then that day is when I decided, something, I'm done with music. Just like that. That was it. They didn't do music no more. Until a year later, they came back with wanted me to do his album, Greatest Hits, and somebody wanted me to do a solo album, all that. But I was done with music. It was not in me no more.
Yeah, I mean, he had a gold casket.
Yeah.
And I remember he had like a tombstone that was done. It was a very simple tombstone.
Yeah.
And I remember going on Twitter a few years ago where I was like, yo, with a legendary person like, Eazy-E, I'm really surprised that this is what his tombstone looks like. And then I think maybe a year ago, they actually created a whole new tombstone for him.
I seen that, yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was a lot more fitting for the person he was.
Somebody might steal it or something, but,
Yeah. Yeah.
But, he was in the ground, so I don't care what you put on top of, I like to have him back, but unfortunately that don't happen. So,
Well, by 2008, things were going really downhill for you.
Yeah.
You had owned over 50 cars, 50 new cars during the course of your life.
Yeah.
But you were getting to the point where you actually had to sell your last car.
Everything. I mean, that was actually like 2010.
Okay.
2008, I stopped doing movies. Dope movie. After 15 years, 350 movies. That was it. But then 2010 is just when, all going out when nothing's coming in.
Right. And, I read the book and your spending habits are like something I've never really seen.
Really?
Very, very often. I got to say, because it's like you would describe these instances where you would get a pile of money for doing something. And where most people say, okay, cool, I'll take a small piece and splurge, but the rest I'm going to invest or I'm going to put aside. You would basically take all the money you made, go buy a new car, buy a new house, buy a boat, buy some Rolexes, buy your brother a car.
All kinds.
Just literally spend every penny.
I mean, and that came from no father, even though I had a father, but no father. No one to talk to, no one to, if I had a real manager, the manager would have been, invest in this, do this, whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody to talk to. It was just me, a kid from the ghetto, with a bunch of money and 800 score credit. I go buy what I want.
Yeah.
I had to learn the hard way.
I mean, were you still making royalties from the NWA albums and everything, or not so much?
I think it slowed down in that particular time. Yeah, because the height of it, and then it slowed down in them years, way down. Plus we was under lawsuits or something.
Oh, really?
About the music or something. It was like a mega lawsuit. It had Michael Jackson, all kind of people was in it.
Well, when Eazy died and Tamika took over at Ruthless Records, I had heard the problems started to rise. Like, JJ Fad, I think, said that like the check stopped coming and so forth. And I remember like
I got mine.
Yeah. Okay.
The court, because the court dealt with it after he died for a while.
Okay.
When I did his last album and the greatest hits and all that, it was the court. I dealt with the court. It wasn't no Tamika.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you didn't have any negative situations with her at all. Okay. Well, you and Dre hadn't seen each other in 10 years. And he called you up one day and said, come down to the studio.
He called me after I sent him a care package.
Right, with a bunch of porn movies.
Which is a big box, about this big, full of movies.
Yeah.
I said, that'll get his attention. And
it
sat in some room wherever he keep mail, sat in there for so long, he's about to throw it out. And somebody in the security, whatever, said, hey, so this one's from Compton. And he looked at it, opened it, and my number was in there. That's how he called me.
And one of the most poignant parts of the book is he called you and said, hey, come down in the studio. And you told him, okay, I just have to borrow a car.
Yeah.
And he was like...
what? I said, yeah, I don't have a car. The first time in 25 years, I don't have a car. So I borrowed a car and I got down and he said, so what did you do? I did nothing. Just... money ran out, He thought I might have, had already, because I was living with my first kid's mother, and it was just all going downhill. And I just said, no, I don't have a car. And he I remember him looking me in my face. He said, whatever it takes to fix you. Money ain't no object. What do you need first? I need a car. And that was it. That was the only thing he was allowed to do was the car. That was it.
And he actually gave you the money for a car.
But that was in, not 98, that was in 2010. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like March 2010 or something.
Right. And he actually gave you. No,
he gave me money to go buy a car.
You bought like a Nissan Cube or something.
A brand new Nissan Cube off the lot. It was a stick shift, I remember. The automatic was too high.
How did it feel? I mean, number one, how did it feel to tell Dre, I have to borrow a car to come see you?
I don't think it felt anything, but because we were so tight, like a brother. So it ain't like, I might have felt embarrassed.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I felt a little embarrassed, just, hey, because it wasn't drugs, it wasn't girls, it wasn't liquor, none of that did it. It was just me buying. And he just responded without, like a friend should. Oh, here, go get a car. No problem. Just that simple. There wasn't no, man, when you gonna get your stuff together? No, it wasn't none of that. It was like a real friend supposed to be. He just did it.
I mean, when he told you that, he said, I'm just gonna give you a check to go buy a car.
Wow.
Especially because you were living in LA at the time, right?
Yeah.
Having no car in LA is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
It was only like a couple of months I didn't have a car. And that,
but still.
Yeah.
Because you have kids. I mean, you're.
And then I got to ask her to borrow her car to go. I'm like, this ain't me, but it was.
When he told you, I'm whatever it takes, I'm going to fix you. Here's a check for a new car. How'd you feel?
It just, I wouldn't say relieved. I would just felt that's what friends are for. They ain't supposed to question, why did you get here? Or, chastise you. What did you do that? No. A friend is in need, I didn't ask them for anything. I just said, I ain't got a car. I didn't come, oh man, can you please help me? No. That's how friends supposed to be. They shouldn't even have to ask. If they see something wrong, you need help, whatever the question is. That's what a true friend should do, supposed to do.
Yeah, and I think like later on, I think you guys were hanging out, and I guess at his beach house in Malibu, and you told him, God sent you to me.
Yeah.
And he said, God bless me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that on the balcony. And I played a joke. I bowed to him. I was like,
yeah, you bowed to him.
And I was homeless after that.
Yeah.
Right after that.
Yeah.
And it was a joke to me, but you don't bow to no man.
Right, because like you just said, you became homeless. Yeah. And I guess you were sleeping on your sister's couch at one point, and then you had to sleep on someone else's couch.
Well, first it was someone else's couch. It was my future wife, but I didn't know it was my wife. Mm-hmm. She had a house. It was vacant. The house was, she lived in Texas with my son, and it was vacant. But she had renters. The crazy part is the renters moved out without even telling her. They just was gone. And then she let me stay there. I stayed there about a year, and then with my sister for the rest of the 2 years. And a couch. That just, when you had everything, almost everything, and nothing. But you know something? I wasn't stressed out. I wasn't in the dumps, mad. It was all me. I can't blame it on nobody. It's just me.
Right, because you had owned 3 new homes at various times in your life. You bought a yacht. Well, a boat, not a yacht. A
45 foot.
45-foot boat.
Yeah.
Blew hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
You made over 300 adult movies over 15 years. And to have all that to suddenly be homeless for essentially 2 years?
3.5.
3.5 years.
3.5.
And at one point, you actually had to use an EBT card to buy food.
And my brother asked me for months, you need me to help you? Because he was homeless. We never had homeless people in our family.
Yeah.
And he had been homeless. And as he started to come up driving trucks, that's when I started to go down. Yeah. I used to help him all the time. I mean, I knew he had a drug problem, but I still helped him. I didn't question him. Why you doing this? No. And he was, starting to come up, and I was going down, and he kept asking me, "You want my car? You want to get some grub?" No, I'm good. And then finally, I just said, "All right." He took me to the grocery store, and my brother to this day, he would say, "I've learned how to shop. You didn't go in there just buying stuff. You knew exactly, get this much chicken, get this. I mean, I had it. You got this budget? I'm going to fill this budget. Not, well, let me get them Twinkies. No, I got what's going to fill you up."
Yeah, I mean, but how was it? Here you are, DJ Yella of NWA, multi-platinum albums, and you're using food stamps to buy food.
You know something? I was embarrassed at first, but my name is Antoine Carey.
Yeah.
I didn't care at all. I mean, I just had to do what I had to do. I mean, like I said, I wasn't mad at nobody. I didn't ask for any help. I didn't even ask for a place to stay. Mm-hmm. It always was there for me.
Okay, because I guess right around that time, I guess you couldn't make payments on your mother's house, and you guys ended up losing that house. As well.
Yeah.
And your brother became homeless, had to go live in a homeless shelter.
Yeah, that was the start. That was the first one of us to ever be in a shelter. And that night, because he had been on drugs for 30 years. And that night, one night, he called out to God and said, "This is either going to make me or break me." Because I guess the shelter, like 40 people, 40 men in there. Yeah. And he said, "This is going to break me or make." And ever since that day, it's been 8-9 years, drug free.
That's what's up.
One night.
Yeah. So you were really going through it.
Yeah.
You were really going through it. And I guess at one point you called up Ice Cube.
Well, this was after I got saved.
Aha.
This was after I got saved. I got saved in November, late November. By January, God told me, call Cube. Me call Cube. I ain't never called Cube for anything. He told me to call him. And I told him I was just getting back into DJing. I don't have equipment. I said, no problem. 3 days later, a check came in the mail. I bought my equipment. But I didn't have to spend my money on equipment because I went to the show in January.
The NAMM show.
The NAMM show. Yeah. Pioneer sent me a DJ unit for free. I didn't even ask for it. I just was going to see what the price was. And they sent me one a couple of months later. So I didn't have to spend that money at all. God is something else. I mean, being homeless, I didn't ask for it. I wasn't, can I stay here? Everything was provided. But I had to go through that so I can come out on the other side.
Right. So you started getting back into DJing again. You started doing gigs. You started getting back on your feet. In 2013, you actually did a concert with Eazy-E's Hologram.
Yeah.
At Rock the Bells in San Diego.
Yeah.
And I guess Lil Eazy filmed like the body motion and everything else like that.
Lil E was the body, and Derek, the other son under him, did the voice. Mm-hmm. Because I would interact with the electronic or the whatever you call it, hologram. Yeah. I would talk to it like I'm really talking to him, but it was the other son with the voice.
What was that like to do a show with a hologram Eazy-E?
You know something? I didn't get to do it. I did all the rehearsals and all that. And seeing the hologram for the first time was weird. I walked in the studio. I look on the stage. There's Eric just standing there. I'm like, whoa, wait. I'm like, oh, that's, it looks real. But when you're on the stage, you can't see it. You have to look at the ground to see the mirror.
Ah, okay.
So, but for some reason, before that show, I end up getting put back on the turntables. But I had rehearsed with the hologram. That's what the show was. But I got moved out of that position. That's a whole nother book by itself. But it was weird. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, the rehearsals really, because I did it all the time, and it just, wow.
So 2014, the next year, Dre sells Beats by Dre to Apple. and essentially becomes hip hop's first billionaire. Mm-hmm. And I guess he told you that he was going to do it like 5 years before.
I don't know when it was, but I didn't know what it was. He didn't say what it was. He said, I got a big deal. He might have been working on it. Probably took years to negotiate. So, but I guess he kind of knew or whatever. So I just like, oh, okay, cool. No big thing. Because there wasn't no money. That was never mentioned or nothing like that. It was just, I guess he was working on something.
Yeah, I mean, what was it like to hear that here's this friend of yours that was in this group that was, you guys shared an apartment, you guys were the World Class Wreckin Cru wearing shiny suits and scraping for dollars.
Yeah.
And now he's the first rapper, hip hop billionaire.
Yeah. I mean, I was glad for him. One of us did it because Dre wanted it more than I did. I was cool with it, just a little money or enough money to pay, but no, I was good. But that's what he, I don't know if that's what he wanted, but he wanted, he loved the music more than me. He just kept going and kept going. I stopped.
Yeah.
I quit. He just kept going and he got it. So.
Yeah. And really went down as hip hop's greatest producer. I mean, you could argue there's people that, people have favorites, but at the end of the day, I mean, if you just look at the family tree of it all, from NWA,
a lot came off of that.
Bone Thugs, Eminem, Snoop,
50 Cent, so much came off of that.
Kendrick Lamar,
so much,
Game, yeah, you could just keep going forever, in terms of the West Coast, Ice Cube and West Side Connection, and then you could look at Dell and the Souls of Mischief, that's all coming from. The nucleus
that went all the way back during the Wreckin' Cru days.
So they start working on the NWA movie. You being obviously a key member, most people would think, okay, you're going to be part of the movie, you're going to be a producer, maybe an executive producer, but you were just a consultant on that film. Yeah. And I guess you were meeting with Tamika at one point, and she said, don't expect a lot of money.
She kind of said, don't expect what you think you're going to get.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? Okay. Cause I was just coming off of homeless a year and a half, maybe, when Universal picked up the movie. And then, then the lawyer called me and said, this is the offer. So I was like, between a rock and a bigger rock, homelessness or toughness coming up. So I had to take what they was dishing out.
Well, I guess you talked to your wife.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, see if they can give you double.
Yeah, I said, at least see if they can double it.
Yeah.
Wasn't in the budget.
They said no. And I guess they even told you that they don't actually even need you.
Yeah. I remember that like it was yesterday. He said, well, we really don't have... but they wanted to be fair and, whatever, I'm like, okay, I had no grounds. So
how small was this check? Was it 4 figures?
It was big enough for me at the time.
Okay.
That's from, having nothing just a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
I mean, me and the wife was in a 1-bedroom apartment. That's how I became
with a kid.
That's how I became unhomeless because she had an apartment. We got married. She had an apartment.
Yeah.
That's how I got off. Did nobody help me? And then they came with the offer. So if I would have been in the high days, big pockets and all that, I ain't taking that. Nah, you can have that. But I was in between this and that. So I took it.
Well, Ice Cube's son was cast in the movie. Lil Eazy's son was not, although he did audition for it.
I didn't know he auditioned, but...
Well, he was involved. I don't know if there was an official audition, but he was...
Oh, really?
But I interviewed him. We talked about it.
Yeah, because I tell people, Lil E is not an actor. He's not an actor.
But he does look like him.
He look exactly like him.
That's what I'm saying.
He sounds like him, look like him, his manner is like him.
Yeah.
But I guess they needed a real actor, but not a well-known actor, so they can...
Well, yeah, it's not like Ice Cube's son was a seasoned actor either.
No.
But I think probably what happened was that Q probably put his son through acting lessons and took it
acting
seriously
lessons,
and everything else like that. Whereas
Lil E was supposed to do acting lessons. I don't think he did them.
Yeah.
And his daddy's part was a demanding part too. I mean, you had to really play that role.
Yeah, no, you really did. And it kind of. I remember when I interviewed Lil Eazy originally, and we talked about this when he actually sat in the same chair you're sitting in. Mm-hmm. This was before VladTV. This was like 2007, I think.
Oh, okay.
And I actually went to his block where I think his grandparents were living.
Yeah.
And we talked about this on camera about how before the interview started, somebody handed him a pistol that he tucked into his waistband.
Oh, really?
This is all off camera. This is not him profiling, trying to look tough for the camera. No, like off camera, he put a pistol in his waist, and we do the interview on the corner. And as he's doing it, he's looking around every few seconds. And I'm holding the camera going like, where the fuck am I right now? Like, where's my pistol?
You in the wrong place.
And it just was sort of like, to me, it was a little heartbreaking. I'm like, yo, this is the son of someone who is worth, in today's dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars who,
But the gun was more not because being poor or anything. It's from the neighborhood, from the gangs.
Well, that's
so
what I'm
you
saying.
have to be watching shit, but that's what comes with that neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's just, Compton. That's just what it is. So it ain't nothing. He had a gun. He looking around. You're not looking, but he's looking.
Ultimately, some of the kids are still struggling. I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I only know.
I mean, ultimately, Tamika took control of Ruthless. She had her own child. I think he told me a story about how one day he took his kids to the doctors, and he found out at the doctors that he no longer had health insurance.
Oh,
and there was, there is a level of, I think, anger and so forth, but ultimately, when someone controls an estate,
yeah, I mean, like I said, I never talked to none of the, and little Eric is like a son to me. I took him all on the road and stuff. So, but we never talked about nothing, none of this. He's private, he don't just blab his stuff. So I don't know. I stay out of grown folks' business. I don't know.
I feel you.
I don't want to know. I don't know. I mean, whatever it is, I just back up.
JJ Fad, who I interviewed recently, they were upset that they weren't portrayed in the movie.
How could you do a Straight Outta Compton movie without JJ Fad? I just don't understand it. How you gonna do a movie when we opened the doors for Ruthless Records? I mean, you could have just mentioned JJ Fad. Like, you could have just had even an album on the wall. Just show something, in the office.
Yeah, I don't know how. I guess it was just too many avenues to go down for the movie because there was already so much to put in 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah. I
don't know how they got left out, but what you gonna do when you can bring them in for a second? Just like Bone Thugs. All they got mentioned was the little cassette when the actor put it on the table. That was it.
Yeah.
So they couldn't. And Bone Thugs, son, sold 10 million records.
Right.
But, I guess it's just too many avenues to go down.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 2-hour film?
Yeah, 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah, so it was a long film as is.
Yeah.
Right, so the filming starts. 7 days into the filming, a drive-by shooting happens right in front of the cast and crew.
I guess I haven't been on the set when that happened.
Yeah. I guess a group of men standing outside the Compton courthouse were flashing gang signs at a passing car.
Oh.
And then the car turned around and just opened fire.
That's Compton.
No one affiliated, with the movie was actually injured, but another person on the set was shot.
Okay.
But, filming continued after that. And then January 29th, 2015, the whole Suge Knight incident happened.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't there. I don't know nothing about that.
And that was a mess.
Yeah.
That was a mess. Hit and run, happened. Terry Carter got killed. Suge ultimately took a 28-year plea deal. Dre spoke on that on the Defiant Ones.
Oh, did he?
He was upset that happened because I guess him and Terry were actually pretty cool, and Terry had adopted a lot of kids and so forth and so forth. So, but even with all the drama, Straight Outta Compton comes out. #1 movie in America for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It was the biggest music biopic.
It was until this last one with whoever
Queen,
the last Queen.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest now. But we had knocked everybody out the water.
Great film. I loved it. I went to like an early premiere, like a media kind of only premiere. I mean, the movie made over $200 million.
Yeah.
It got banned in some Asian countries.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Well, you said that the movie was maybe 60% correct.
60 to 70, because it's a lot of things happen at the same time, but in reality, they were separate. The DLC was in a little earlier. It's just different stuff. They had like the Detroit. We didn't get arrested. Mm-hmm. They had to make it look nice for the movie, to keep it going, the energy. But, everything didn't get in. My story didn't get in, Ren's story, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was technically Dre and Cube's movie, right? Those were the two main guys behind the film in NWA.
Well, I guess. I mean,
more so than you and Ren.
Yeah. I mean, I know I wasn't.
Right. Right. But they were not consultants is what I'm saying. They were actually producers.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. So when you're in that seat, you get to decide that you're in it.
I don't know what that seat feel like.
Yeah. I mean, and ultimately, because of that film, you got to tour all around the world. Yeah. You went to premieres everywhere. You got to DJ. And it ultimately helped you out financially beyond whatever the consulting
I didn't make it from the movie, but I made it off the movie.
Right.
Because I've been to 100 countries in the past few years. So.
Yeah, that's dope. 2016, Michelle A's biopic, Surviving Compton, came out.
Never saw it.
Well, you said you saw a small part of it.
Yeah, I looked at it like, I ain't watching no more.
And you said that they made Dre look like Ike Turner Jr. And he said the movie overdid it, and you think that Michelle A was just mad at Dre.
I don't know, but I'm like, wow. I couldn't watch it no more. I'm just like, that's too much for me. I'm just like, They made him look like he was a crazy man, but he wasn't. So I don't know.
Yeah.
People got their own opinions.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't in the movie.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's a bunch of groups that didn't even get mentioned.
Right. And then that same year in 2016 was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. Right. You guys were nominated 4 times and didn't make it?
I think that was the 4th year.
Yeah.
All in a row. I didn't think we was going to make it that year because I think Janet Jackson or somebody was on the ballot with us. I was like, oh, we ain't going to beat them. We ain't going to beat them. I knew, and it happened.
Well, the movie helped, obviously.
Yeah.
The movie brought a lot of attention.
Yeah.
To you guys.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Kendrick Lamar actually introduced you guys.
Yeah.
During the ceremony. I thought was dope. And actually interviewed you guys also.
Yeah.
I think for Billboard.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that, in terms of your favorite artist these days, Kendrick is definitely one of them.
I like Kendrick's style. Yeah.
He's dope. Yeah, he's absolutely dope. Gene Simmons, I think, had an issue with you guys being nominated.
Yeah. I mean, just hip hoppers getting into the rock and roll, but music is music. I mean, if these certain albums, if they hip hop, country, whatever, they change the world or change music, why you can't get in there with the other big boys? You got Prince, you got Michael Jackson, you got all these different, they ain't rock and rollers.
Right. Yeah, no one's complaining about Tina Turner like getting in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of R&B acts and so forth. But I mean
hip hop deserves its place. It earned its way. Because hip hop is in every kind of music now. Every kind of music.
Yeah, I mean, and it's dope, to have interviewed some of the people that have gotten into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like Chuck D and Flavor Flav. From Public Enemy, of course, Melly Mel.
Yeah.
I mean, to really see some of these heroes of mine be recognized like that, I think is dope.
Oh, yeah.
And, congratulations on that. That's a big
a lot of times I forget about it, but
yeah,
I'm like, we did make that, because you can't get no higher in music.
Right.
That's it.
The Hall of Fame.
That's the ceiling.
That's the ceiling. Exactly. 2017, Dre did the Defiant Ones. With Jimmy Iovine. You were in that, right?
Yeah.
But you never watched it.
I never watched it. Everybody say, watch it, it's good. You in there a lot. I'm like, okay, but I never watched documentaries.
And I mean, to this day, are you and Dre still cool? Do you guys still talk and everything?
Oh yeah.
You know, he's going through his divorce right now. I guess it's settled. He has to pay his wife $3.5 million a year in alimony, which honestly seems like a fair amount based on his total.
They was married 20 plus years.
Exactly.
So, hey,
and you know, at the end of the day, like, you know, behind every great man, there's usually a woman with him. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, when I saw that amount, everyone went crazy. I said, okay, that's fair. That's fair. He's not going to go broke over this. He's going to make hundreds of millions more.
Interest.
That's interest. Yeah, exactly. That's interest. But when you heard about the brain aneurysm, you know, during the whole divorce proceedings, which I think probably has some level of connection because, you know, stress and everything. Did you reach out to him?
Well, I didn't reach out until after the media went calm down and stuff. Okay. I texted him maybe that day. I didn't get a response. Then I text his assistant and he's doing better. I got it from her. And then we end up talking a little bit after. He said, I'm back in the gym and I'm doing I said, okay, you're all right. If he's in that gym, he's all right.
Yeah, I mean, we all thought we were going to lose him. Yeah. Like,
aneurysm is something else. You can't play with that.
Yeah, I mean, TK Kirkland told me his brother died from that. So it's a serious thing, you know. Yeah. And then, you know, this year, Dre and Jimmy Iovine started a high school in LA.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And they also have a building at USC.
Oh, I heard about that
music school.
The high school, I didn't know nothing about it.
And, you know, when you look at, I mean, Dre's accomplishments have always been through the roof, and he just continues to keep doing it. You know, and I was watching this interview that you guys did with Kendrick Lamar, and Ice Cube said something very interesting. He said that NWA changed pop culture all over the world. He said he proved that artists can be themselves and not have this squeaky clean image and be just as successful as the artists that do have that clean image.
Oh yeah, I mean, that was our style, and we happened to hit. You know, it just it could be country, it could be whatever. Yeah, it doesn't matter. If it hit, it hits. You can't do nothing about it. It just that's the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, in this world of what they call industry plants and so forth, where they a label introduce an artist and he's in a Rolls Royce and he's got all the girls and it's all this whole manufactured image. And you don't really know who this person is. Oh yeah. You guys came out with
nothing.
Raiders hats.
The basics.
Know what I mean? Like wearing all black, swearing, talking about a city no one had ever heard of outside of LA. Yeah. Because I definitely never heard of Compton. Yeah. And I lived in the same state.
Yeah, wow.
You know what I mean? And really just created a family tree and a blueprint for so many people to follow, man. It's just an amazing amount of accomplishment.
I mean, it's just, and sometimes I look back, I'm like, wow, we did this. Wow, we did that. Hall of Fame, this. You know, the records sold almost more than originally after the movie.
I bet.
It just all started again.
I bet.
It just all started, you know, and I'm just like, and when we was doing the music, we wasn't thinking nothing like that. We just doing the music, doing what we like. Even from the Wreckin' Cru days, it was no future we didn't, you know, it just, and we came from all that.
Do you ever feel like you're the Ringo Starr of the group? Have you ever heard that before?
No. Ringo was probably the quiet guy.
Well, he was also the drummer.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
He was also the drummer, and he was a very important part of the Beatles.
Wow.
But, you know.
Just quiet, unheard.
But he was more the quiet, low-key guy in the group, which I think is kind of...
And it's funny you say that. You not really comparing us to the Beatles, but they were so powerful.
This is what I'm saying.
And we were so powerful. You know, it's
4-person group. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's really a lot of parallels. It was almost like the American version or the hip-hop version of the Beatles. Yeah. Which is what NWA is.
When they hit.
That's what I'm saying.
People didn't understand. What is this?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, like I said in the beginning, a lot of my questions were based on the new book. Yeah. Straight Outta Compton, My Untold Story. Which, like I said, we'll have a link in all these videos. So you can check it out for yourself because what we talked about is only a small fraction of what covered in this.
You know something? It's 93,800 words.
Yeah, it was like 330 pages, I think.
Yeah. 329.
329. I was close. I was close.
But I'm impressed that you read it. I mean, you really read it, and because I can tell by the questions. It ain't just the standard, everybody got them stuff. But a lot of stuff, like you said, was missing pieces.
Yeah.
This, that. It's so much. We'd be here for 3 days talking about it.
Right, because we've already done a whole interview kind of like this before.
Yeah.
But now it's like, I got to actually
And
read.
it's totally different from the last one.
It is. it is, man. But like I've always said, man, I'm a super fan when it comes to NWA. NWA, Eazy-E in particular, I felt like changed my trajectory because although I started listening to hip hop in elementary school, at one point I got into all this trouble and I got put into a private school where none of the kids listen to hip hop.
Oh,
so I started listening to U2 and
Yeah.
the Cult and, whatever the MTV groups at the time. And then, I kind of fell out of touch a little bit.
Yeah.
And then this kid in my chemistry class said, hey, put on these headphones. This is a new artist named Eazy-E.
Wow.
And I'm like, that put me back on my journey, which I'm still on today at 48 years old.
Yeah.
With VladTV, really devoting my life to hip hop. But it was that really kind of set it off for me because it was just so good. Everyone has their preferences and everyone could debate, but
because it was so unique.
It was so unique.
His
the production was so good. I remember, seeing an interview with Jimmy Iovine, and he said when he first heard Dre stuff, he was like, who mixed this?
Yeah.
And Dre was like, me. And it was like, this is the best mixed, piece of music I'd ever heard in my life. And this guy, Jimmy Iovine, was an engineer himself. So he knew what he was talking about. Yeah. And it's like just the skill level that you guys have.
Well, the key was when we mixed our stuff, we EQ'd it as we recorded it. The kick drum, we add 2 or 3 kick drums, 2 or 3 snares, EQ it all up. Then when we finish the song, we EQ'd it all again, so you get the fatter sound. So that's why it can hang with the updated sound. It's not as loud as other people's music because the dBs are louder or whatever it is, but it can stay right there. Right? That's what we do. We learn mixing on the fly.
Yeah. And you guys excelled at it. You guys completely excelled at it. Timeless projects that will live on past all of our lifetimes.
Oh, yeah.
A movie was made about these 4 poor kids from LA, which became a #1 movie.
Yeah.
Multi-platinum albums. And like I said, the family tree is just absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. And you're an integral part of that. So DJ Yella, man, it's always a pleasure when we sit down.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Oh, yeah.
Peace.